Welcome back to a Christmas edition of the Geek Fix in full on Christmas Day. Obviously, the patrons will get it on Wednesday as normal with my good friend Aaron Sparrow. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing all right. It's crazy though, because this is actually the first time my Christmas tree has been on camera this year, but people will actually see the Saturday aficionados version of the Christmas tree before the people who actually are seeing the first look at it.
That's right, because Christmas is on Monday.
Yep.
Are you excited?
Merry Christmas, everybody. I'm super excited.
I'm excited. I'm already ready.
I'm excited. I don't want it to be here though. Like that's the thing, is it's like I'm excited for Christmas and I love Christmas, but I love the build. And so it's just coming so rapidly now. It's so close that I'm like,
My kids are at a fever pitch. They can't take it anymore. If we waited another week, they would explode.
Yeah, they're like, Santa's coming! Santa!
Yes, they're very, very excited. And now we've gotten to the point where school is closed all over here. And what the kids do is they go caroling on the week up to Christmas at night. And so I've been hearing all those Christmas songs that I hate so much. Like, I love everything about Christmas but the music. And now I have kids outside my house singing very bad versions of Christmas music that I don't like to begin with, waiting for me to pay them to leave.
Is that how they do it? They sing terribly and wait for you to give them money to go away?
Though they probably
got your number.
You got anything
They got your
copyright
number
on the back of there, Aaron? Because if you got copyright on there, I can't have it on the channel.
Oh, what in the hell?
You're gonna get us in trouble.
Oh, what the hell? Let me skip that there. Go back to the fire. Come on, this is the problem right now. So like YouTube for Christmas, like I used to put on like Christmas music and it would just run
for 8 hours.
Or you'd put on the fireplace and it would just run. And now everything has commercials interspersed throughout it. So
do you think
even
YouTube's
if you're like,
going to give me a copyright strike for having YouTube commercials in my YouTube video?
No, it was transformative. It's a transformative work we were talking
They
about.
would do it though. You know it, man.
Yeah, right.
If anybody would
I can't wait to see that movie though.
For promoting their own stuff.
I know. The Iron Claw, man. I can't wait to see the Iron Claw. I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's going to be on Amazon, isn't it?
Is it? Because I was going to go see it in theaters.
For some reason, I thought it was going to Amazon. Maybe it's going to be in theaters first. I would see Iron Claw. I'm definitely a big fan of the Von Erichs. I remember them fighting the Freebirds and stuff back in the day when Saturday afternoon would be all wrestling after you got your Saturday morning cartoons.
Yep.
Man, back in the day when the world was good.
Yeah, you had, remember cartoons being on Saturday morning? That was good stuff.
Yes. The Hanna-Barbera Saturday morning was just amazing.
The Hanna-Barbera, so I liked some of the Hanna-Barbera stuff. Like I remember liking Wally Gator. And I remember liking the Wacky Races because it just combined everybody. But there were. You
haven't mentioned Dungeons and Dragons.
Was that Hanna-Barbera? I thought that was. I thought Sunbow did that.
Well, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I remember they definitely had a Rubik's Cube cartoon that I liked.
Joe and I have talked about that Rubik's Cube cartoon and how weird it is that was even a thing.
It was like for 2 seasons. It was good.
If you guys have not seen it, go out and just on YouTube search for the Rubik's Cube cartoon, and have your mind blown. It's that happened, and we all let it happen.
Yeah, so we're excited for Christmas. All the presents that are going to be wrapped are wrapped. I've configured my son's retro handheld console thing, but not all the games launched. So I somehow between now and Christmas, I got to figure out why the emulators aren't working. But I'm going to figure it out.
I had somebody jailbreak I got the little Nintendo and then the Super Nintendo. The little versions that they had that are basically just emulators. Yeah. And I had a friend basically jailbreak them and put on all these other games that have been emulated out there. So there's just a ton of games on this thing. And I went back and I was playing.
How the fuck do you play a PlayStation game with a Nintendo controller? There's not enough buttons.
No, it's the little Nintendo. So it's all the original NES games and all the even the licensed
but it comes with a Nintendo controller with just an A/B select and a start, right?
Yeah, but that's all those games used. The games that they jailbreak onto them are the ones that are appropriate to that system.
They're only adding
your NES has all the
games. They're not adding Sega games where you need 3 buttons.
Right. So, although they can do that to the Sega too, I think. But that one I don't have. But I was playing some of those old NES games. A lot of those games suck. I was playing a Dungeons and Dragons NES game, and it was
what's your tone,
it was based on Dragonlance, and I was like all excited to play it, and it's freaking terrible.
You are out of your mind. There's some great NES games.
No, there's some great ones on there, but there's some real trash.
I remember Excite Bike being pretty cool. Obviously, Super Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong was cool. Duck Hunt. There's so many good ones out there.
Yeah, I was playing Donkey Kong Jr. I've lost a lot of my Donkey Kong Jr. skill. I used to be an ace at that game, and now my timing's all off.
Yeah, those emulators are a lot of fun. So I got one that's basically like it's an Android phone that's been turned into like a clamshell, and I load it up. It can play everything up to like GameCube and Wii, and then like PlayStation 2, but it can't do PlayStation 3. Mm-hmm. So I'm somewhat limited on it. So I'm trying to get that thing finally working completely. And you can watch Netflix on it and like Disney Plus below those YouTube videos. And it's going to be dope. It's basically I'm giving him a phone with a bunch of games on it, but he can't call anybody.
But he can watch Netflix, which is way more dangerous than just randomly calling strangers.
No, he knows he's got to be on the kid's profile. He can't.
But Coco Melon's on there, and you saw the controversy of that coming out today.
What the hell's wrong with Coco Melon?
The Coco Melon on Netflix now. It's got the two gay dads, and they're singing a song to their kid that's dressing up in their little boy who's dressing up in a princess dress and wearing a tiara.
Well, we never watched the Netflix Coco Melon stuff. We just watched the Coco Melon on YouTube before.
Mm-hmm. And it didn't have that. It didn't have like the kind of messaging in there. No. Did Coco Melon get bought out? Is that what happened? And now Netflix owns it, and so they're gonna put a bunch of
That's really strange.
They're going to race swap Coco Melon. Is Coco Melon a character, or is that just the name of the? I don't know anything about Coco Melon.
No. Coco, like the main character's name is JJ. He's a little kid, and he's got an older brother and sister named Yo-Yo. And what's the name of the brother? I can't remember the brother. And then he's in play school, and he's got a bunch of diverse boys and girls that are classmates, and they sing to their teacher and stuff. Mm-hmm. They're good. I mean, we had my baby's first birthday, his cake was Coco Melon. But we probably wouldn't do that again if they're doing weird stuff like that in a show designed for 2-year-olds.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a part of the I was because I didn't know anything about Coco Melon except the name. I couldn't have told you what it was about. If you would have asked me, I would have said so. There's like a kid.
It's not really about anything. It's just kid songs.
What's the really boring cartoon from Canada with the kid with the big round head? Which I identify with. No, it's like Kalu or something like that.
No idea.
I thought that's
we don't do Canadians here. We do Australia. We do. We certainly do Korea. We definitely do England, but we don't do Canadian shows.
So you guys get Bluey.
Absolutely. My kids love Bluey. Mm-hmm. And that thing's got a lot of really good messaging as far as family and stuff.
Yeah, I hear that it's actually got like a dad that's engaged with the kids and
oh yeah, he's always playing with them and letting them use their imagination. And when the little kid gets him, he always acts like he won and stuff. Yeah, like a real dad.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised because I just saw the controversy, like people like going like, oh, they're putting this in Coco Melon, and I was like, was that not always?
It's so weird. Like I said, Coco Melon's literally designed and aimed at 2-year-olds. Mm-hmm. Like it's not, man. That's the world, huh? My goodness.
I mean, it was like they were singing, so I was like, okay, it's a show about singing, but I didn't know if like this was the main character and the two dads.
No, that's never been in there, and I've been watching Coco Melon for like 5 years because I've got 3 boys.
Oh, there you go. So that's why people were making a big deal out of it.
Yeah, they must have bought it or something because it's all of a sudden on Netflix now. You also get what else is on there now? What's that? He used to be the Air Force. He's always wearing orange and blue and acting like a moron. Blippi?
Oh, see, I don't know what that is either.
I think Netflix might have bought Blippi.
There's like a bunch of stuff that got bought and like I don't know, it's like diminishing returns. It got bought at like the height of we got to grab every IP we can for streaming. And they bought a bunch of stuff. Like apparently Reese Witherspoon had some production company that they paid a bunch of money for, and it's absolutely worthless. But she got her money, so good for her. Good for Reese.
I'm still excited about Christmas. We just won't watch the Coco Melon stuff. And it's not like my 8-year-old's watching Coco Melon videos by himself anyway. Our bigger problem is keeping him off the shorts.
Oh, the like people doing their little videos.
Yes.
I have a problem staying off the shorts. Like I'll get hooked in that rabbit hole. Like I'll be like, oh, that was funny. And then I'll go to the next thing. And then like, oh, here's a clip from wrestling. What happened here? You know, and it's like all of a sudden like a half hour is gone. And I'm like,
Aaron, you're in your 40s, man. No. Stop trying to be cool. And
I'm in my 40s, but I'm still a hip. I know what.
You're not hip.
No cap.
You've got a hipster beard. That does not mean you're hip.
Is this a hipster beard? I thought it was just, I need to shave kind of.
Dude, when I see that beard, I can imagine you walking around with like a tool belt on when you go to like restaurants, trying to be cool.
A tool belt?
Yeah, that's what the hipsters do. They wear flannel and tool belts like they're fucking manly men.
Like I'm going to fix something?
Yeah.
I'm not going to look, if I go to a restaurant and I fix something, you better be giving me like a free steak or something because I put in the work.
But I'm excited for Christmas. I could do without the music, but I enjoy the movies and all that stuff. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
It's tough to say. I've got like a couple of go-tos. So every year I'll watch Scrooged, which I just watched last night.
Yeah.
And I told Max that because he was like, what's Scrooged? And because Max is a baby.
Bill fucking Murray, man. What's wrong with you?
I know. I told him. I said his assignment this Christmas is to watch it. And I got a text from him right when we started that said that Scrooged is on at the gym. And he like sent me a picture of the screen. So he'll get a little taste.
CBS version of Scrooge. You want to watch the real deal?
Yeah, so I enjoy that. I enjoy Irving Berlin's White Christmas with Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby. I think that's a fun film. I like Christmas Vacation with. It's funny because I had this conversation with my friend Marie last night because we're watching. Scrooge
you had this conversation with me last week, and I just now remembered.
Yeah, but like so, I was talking to her, and she said, "So we're watching Scrooged," and Marie doesn't like movies where there's like a lot of tension. It makes her it triggers her anxiety. She starts to feel like for the characters and she gets all like worked up. So like something like Christmas Vacation where everything's going wrong and things like that, those kind of movies bother her. And she said, there's definitely a difference in the type of Christmas movies that you like versus the type of Christmas movies that I like.
She must love the MCU phases 4 and 5. No tension.
No, she actually, the only MCU phase 4 movies she watched were Black Widow and Multiverse of Madness. Oh, and Spider-Man No Way Home. And the only one she liked was Spider-Man No Way Home, and the rest she was like, I'm done. Like she was just like, I'm done with the MC. I don't care about these movies anymore. She's like, no Robert Downey Jr., no Captain America. I don't care.
So here's the thing, Aaron. I'm okay with people considering Die Hard a Christmas movie. It's certainly built about Christmas. It's a man trying to save his family and make things right with his wife. He just happens to have to go through terrorists to be able to do it. Fits the Christmas theme and all this stuff. But people are now trying to say that Lethal Weapon is a Christmas movie. And now I've got to draw a line. No fucking further. Lethal Weapon is not a Christmas movie. It happens around Christmas, but there are no inherent themes of Christmas elements in the fucking movie.
Sure there are. There's Mel Gibson finds his family by the end. He finds a new family.
He tries to kill himself.
Yeah, and it's a redemption story. During Christmas time,
but it's not based
suicide
on
is the highest suicide is highest during the holidays. Wes.
Well, absolutely. And he calls it the silly season, all that stuff. And yes, there are Christmas trees in the movie, but it's not inherently.
It opens with a Christmas song and topless hooker jumping off of a high rise. But
I'm not stepping back anymore. I put my line in the sand. Lethal Weapon, not a Christmas movie.
It opens. Look, it's like I said, a topless hooker jumping off a high rise. It's a very special Mark Waid Christmas at the beginning.
But you're okay with it.
I mean, it's not a.
Oh, you're such a typical Californian. You just let everyone change what everything is. You're trying to destroy the culture of Christmas, Darren.
No, but every Shane Black movie, with the exception of that horrible Predators movie he did, is pretty much takes place at Christmas. So, what are you gonna do?
That's not true. I just watched Iron Man 3 because I'm watching the first 3 phases of the MCU, and that was a Shane Black movie.
That takes place at Christmas. Yep.
Yeah, because there's a giant bear.
Yep.
Man, that's a shitty movie.
Yeah, it's real. It's
certainly not a Christmas movie.
No. There's elements that I like, most of them being Rebecca Hall, but otherwise I find everything about Iron Man 3 pretty forgettable.
Aaron, are you willing to do the right thing and sign a petition that says, no further, we're not adding any more action movies that happen to have elements of Christmas in there to the Christmas holiday? Die Hard was enough.
Gremlins is a Christmas movie, right? The first
Gremlins?
Okay.
Absolutely. Gremlins is a Christmas movie. That Gremlin was a Christmas present.
Yeah, so Die Hard, I'll allow. I'm gonna say like Lethal Weapon. It walks the line, but I don't think it crosses it. I don't think it crosses it into Chris. No, I'm backing you up. I don't think it crosses it. I don't think it crosses the line into Christmas movie. Just because it's got some Christmas in it doesn't mean that it's. Is Die Hard 2 a Christmas movie? I know there's a lot of snow in that. Somebody gets killed with an icicle, but I don't know that it's not a Christmas. It's just winter.
Movies. That's not about saving his family for Christmas.
Yeah,
man. Die Hard's a fucking good movie, though, man.
I like Die Hard 2 as well. Actually, I think I even like
Die Hard, and I like Die Hard with a Vengeance, and I do not like Die Hard 2 very much.
Really? Wow. Okay.
I think Die Hard with a Vengeance is way better, and Samuel L. Jackson absolutely owned that movie.
Well, yeah, because you had that new element, and
when John McClane gets shot out of the like manhole by the water, I remember crying in the fucking theater. It was so funny.
That is pretty good. And you had a great villain. You had Jeremy Irons. Bill Sadler was not a very
the brother of Hans Gruber.
Yeah,
one of the great villains in movie history. He's almost like the Grinch reincarnated. You know what I'm saying?
I like at the end where he's talking about your brother was an asshole, and you think that Jeremy Irons is gonna like freak out and hurt him for saying such a thing, but then he's like, it's true, he was an asshole. You've got his number. I love that moment.
He didn't even like his brother. He was just using it as a reason to make him run around while he did his real thing.
Yeah, the same. The kind of the same setup is you create a distraction to from your real goal.
But I did like Die Hard with a Vengeance, but after that, the franchise is done. You don't need to watch any of the other ones.
No, you shouldn't watch any of the other ones.
No.
Certainly don't want to watch the one with Kevin Smith.
Or which one's with Kevin Smith?
I think is that the one with the daughter? Is it the one with? I mean, there's one that has Timothy Olyphant as the villain, and he's good as the villain, but the rest of the movie it's just not worth watching.
Timothy Olyphant owns everything. He's just a good actor.
Yeah, he's great. He's great at comedy. He's great at action.
There's got to be a Christmas movie where he's the dad in it. That's probably owns it too.
Nobody's talking about the new Justified, where it's like him in Detroit, and I'm kind of like interested in it, but I haven't heard anybody say whether it's good or bad.
I've watched Justified, City Primeval, and there are elements that are okay, but I do not like it as a fan of Justified. There's this really weird part. If you watch the first season or the first iteration of Justified, that dude was like a pussy magnet. Like he was getting some high quality tail left and right, and some reason. Like he just falls for this chick and she's not hot enough and she's way too fat. And it was a weird twist for the character and it threw me off and I haven't been able to finish the show. But I was like, there's no way that he would get drunk and make out with this chick.
He's not with Natalie Z's character anymore? He's not with the mother of his child?
No, they ruined that in the very last episode where he's never ends up with her.
Damn it! I've intentionally I've only watched like 3 episodes of season 5 of the original Justified because when it was coming out, I was like, I don't want this to end, so I need to like stop right now, and then I'll go back to it when I can just like watch the whole show all over again and just kind of like enjoy it all. And I was like recently getting ready to do that, and now I know they don't end up together, and I was very invested.
Not. It doesn't make sense because that was like the story arc that they were telling, and I was very frustrated at the end of Justified, and then I was more frustrated with City Primeval.
It sucks because it's like, yeah, that's the whole arc, that's the whole build is them getting back.
Deadwood is so much better.
The funny thing is they had him, so he was estranged from Natalie Z's character, Fiona. That's her name. That's her name in the show. At the beginning of the show, and they put him together with the blonde chick that eventually ends up with Boyd.
Never made sense.
No, never made sense, and she's nowhere near
Trailer Park trash girl.
Awesome. Yeah, she was super Trailer Park, and never as cool as Fiona, never as hot as Fiona. Fiona's in the other guys too. Natalie Z. She's Christineth, his ex, Will Ferrell's ex, and there's a great bit with her and
the other guys. Shockingly good movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
I don't know
really
why,
funny.
but Marky Mark had really pulled off like anxiety-riddled fucking police officer.
Yeah, and playing off of Will Ferrell, he's absolutely great. That like they're both great in that movie.
Gator needs his cat.
Oh, I watched.
Bitches better wear Jimmy hats.
That's right.
I thought that movie was going to be awful.
It looked like it was going to be awful. It's actually like one of the best.
That's good.
I mean, I can even still watch it, even though it's got The Rock in it.
I like The Rock. Why is everyone so mad at the most electrifying entertainer in the world?
No, because he got political. He started running his mouth, and
that's how everybody. And then once you go to Hollywood, you lose yourself.
Now he's done the thing in Hawaii where he teamed up with Oprah to start that bullshit charity that people are
not a Hollywood star until you started a bullshit charity.
People are sour on The Rock now, and I'm here for it. Done with The Rock.
He's mad. I don't give up on my.
Done with him running around in a green T-shirt in a jungle in every movie. Done with him being The Rock in every movie.
The second Jumanji movie was fucking bad, man.
He doesn't even cover his. They don't even cover up his tattoos anymore. It's like every character that he plays has The Rock's tattoos.
Is Polynesian now?
Yeah, that's just.
Does The Rock have a Christmas movie? It's got it, right?
He probably does.
Isn't there? There's got to be a movie with The Rock as an enormous elf.
I watched Elf last night too with Will Ferrell. So
one of the few movies starring Will Ferrell that's actually bearable. The other guy's being another one where he's in a major part.
He plays it so innocent. Like he does such a good job of like that kind of like wide-eyed innocence in Elf that I think Bob. Like I read a thing that said where Bob Newhart said that when he read the script, he told his wife, I want to be a part of this because I feel like this movie has the potential to be a perennial classic that people watch every year. And I think it is. It's just kind of like a sweet movie.
I've watched the Netflix movies that made us. They had like a holiday special, and Elf is one of the movies. And Jon Favreau, like, really wanted to get the like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer kind of looking elves and everything, and they had to fight really hard to get it. And he got the idea. Let's put it that way. Jon Favreau.
He exactly. I mean, when the little claymation narwhal comes out of the water and is bye buddy, and I guess Jon Favreau did all the voices for all of the animated characters. Like every one of those is his voice, and even the rabbit raccoon in the park is Jon Favreau. I
did not realize that part. That was not in the little movies that made us.
Here's some dumb trivia. The 12-second belch that he does, performed by legendary voice actor Maurice LaMarche, voice of Brain in Pinky and the Brain.
Pinky and the Brain.
They brought him in just to do a burp.
There were some decent cartoons around that time.
Yeah.
That's Animaniacs was around then too, right?
It was. Did we have a topic, or did we like?
It's Christmas, Aaron. Everyone's celebrating Christmas with us.
All right, so we're just
gonna get to the topics. All right, we'll talk about it.
No, I don't.
You ruined the moment.
I to talk about cartoons. I just didn't know if I had derailed everything and we just weren't going back.
No, we were celebrating Christmas, but you ruined the moment for me.
Well, I do that sometimes.
And now I'm just not interested, Aaron. How's that? I'm not in the mood. Let's talk. Let's get to business.
I stole Wes's Christmas. How come there's no Christmas behind you? How come there's nothing like going on?
Look at the pillows, bro. Look at the pillows.
All right, the pillows are nice.
And then behind that window in the other room is where our tree and all the presents are. Mm-hmm. Because there just isn't enough room in the living room, so we put it in the kitchen where the stairs are.
You should post a picture of your tree on Twitter so we can all see the majesty of your tree.
I'll put a picture of my tree on Twitter, on the Patreon, and on the community tab at YouTube if people want to see it. I don't mind that.
Does your wife control? I'm interested in this now. Does your wife control the ornaments that go on the tree? You're like, I think we should do this. And your wife's like, yeah, no, that's not happening.
We do not have a tree that's reminiscent of when I was a kid where it was random. It is by design. It's color coordinated. And you do not put an ornament on the tree without her approval. No.
That makes sense. No, see, I've done that too as an adult because I remember having the random ass tree. You'd have like some random ornament that you made at school with 2 popsicle sticks and you wound some yarn around it, and that'd be on the tree, and like some bullshit stuff that was made out of clay, or dough.
Picture in it.
That was you'd have some of that garbage on there, and then some of that cheap tinsel that you would throw on there, that silver tinsel that would just hang down and get caught in the vacuum, and your cat would eat it, and like you'd be cleaning out the cat box, and all the cat turds would have like silver garland in it. And you're like, that
we didn't have cats. We were a dog family.
Yeah. Did your dog eat any of the tinsel off the tree?
No, my dog was too smart to do that.
No, that's good. That's good. There's some dumb dogs that'll do it too. Like, just be like,
absolutely. I have a feeling Doc has a dog stupid enough to do that.
You think so? We'll ask him on Saturday.
You can ask him. Trust me. He's got a dog in his house. That's that dumb. It's been fighting its own tail for 3 months on whenever Doc and I record.
Never-ending battle.
Absolutely. Let's get on topic now, Aaron, since you don't want to talk about the Christmas season.
I do want to talk about the Christmas season.
No, there's some new stuff that came out. There was an article on ICV2.com, the business side of comics. This is from Rob Salkowitz, who had a book he wrote once talking about how digital was going to come over, and Stan Lee said he liked it. That's his claim to fame. And he had his top comics business stories of 2023. You want to run these down?
Sure. Wait, you want me to read it? I don't have it.
No, I've got it. What are you talking about? I'm a good host. I don't hand over hosting duties to nobody.
No, I just show up.
His first topic, or his first business story, is the direct market moves into its next half century, facing more uncertainty than ever. For the past years, we've been celebrating 50 years since Phil Selling and Joni Levis transformed the comic industry, first commercially and then creatively, by connecting fans, publishers, distributors, and retailers to the direct market. But as we end the year, the typical howls of catastrophe are growing louder and more convincing than they ever have in over a decade, and driving a lot of fevered conversations. Sales of periodicals are sputtering. Inflation and other economic ills are taking a bite out of already thin retailer profits, and the collector market is cooling. There you go. The direct market is not doing so well.
But I was told, Wes, that it's a boom period.
We have been in a comic boom for the last decade, yes, apparently.
Yeah, it's been the greatest.
Dogman is doing so well that it's actually elevated the sales of Spider-Man.
Well, there's all kind. Like the other day, I saw Jamal Igle out there talking about, Did
he call you kid?
Here's the rub, kid. Let me tell you something. 23 skidoo. Let me. It's like he was flipping a coin on a street corner, chewing on a toothpick, and a hat and a trench coat.
I will be honest, with a hairline receding like that, you can call other grown men kid.
That's true. I mean, I'm not one to talk about receding hairlines, but
at least you go with it and you just shave it off.
Oh, as soon as it started to like just thin out a little bit, I was like, it's time. No big deal. I wasn't going to hang on to, and get the full on widow's peak and look like
Are you glad, Aaron, that you're now given permission to acknowledge that direct market isn't doing well?
Well, now that the elite have come and allowed us to say, but we still have to agree with their premises as to why it's not doing well. And one of the things he suggested,
they don't have a premise. They just say
people have moved on to Raina Telgemeier. All those 40 and 50-year-old guys reading comics, Wes, that have done it their whole lives. Like you, me, Doc. We've all even.
I have a wimpy kid.
Did you see somebody told Max that like the market wasn't for him anymore, old man? And Max is like, I'm 30. How is the market not for me?
Fucking Max looks every bit of 45. Look at him. He's ridiculous looking. Why do you look so old, Max?
What's going on, Max? You sexist. But
comic industry's not for you. Get a job.
That's right. Well, no, but Max, according to Jamal Igle, Max has probably moved on to Raina Telgemeier, or Max is reading Dogman. These are the things these are the reasons that that comics aren't doing well. I mean, that may be
Babysitter Club.
Let me tell you something, Wes. A couple of years ago, during Civil War II, I didn't get out of comics because Civil War II just disappointed me so much that I just told my friend I don't enjoy this anymore, and threw it down on my comic stack and went in the other room. And that was when I kind of like stopped my weekly comics habit and got more selective. The reason was because I walked into a Hallmark store and there was a spinner rack of little golden books, and I said, "What is this?" And I immediately called my comic shop and said, "Cancel my pull list. I'm done. I'm
reading the Three Bears story with Goldilocks."
That's right.
That's my jam now.
I'm reading Dan the Band-Aid Man or whatever.
Oh man, you actually can't talk about why comic sales are suffering, but at least we can admit that it's happening now, Aaron.
Who could answer such a speculative question? Even though we've been answering it on this channel for years now. It's crazy.
And know what the weird thing is? They will admit what is happening or what is causing that. Low quality, variant cover schemes, too many reboots. And this is just all new information. I wish I would have discovered these are some of the things that could account for people walking away from comic books. It's just all new information here.
If only. If only
somebody had this information 5 years ago and shared it with people.
If only people started saying like, hey, there's an iceberg that we're going to crash into. And people had listened, that might.
I swear to God, I put that on a thumbnail at least 5 years ago.
Yeah, I swear you did.
And we would put little things to make it a meme. I couldn't have spelled it out any easier, but it's nice to know that they're along for the journey now. We've been given permission.
Yeah, even though we're all alt-right, right? We're all just a bunch of alt-right, scumbags.
Listen, you might be an alt-right scumbag. I'm an alt-right Nazi.
I love. I just got to touch on Patrick Zurcher's post where he was like, I don't want to work with any white supremacists in the comic industry. I also don't want to work with any serial killers. Now that that's said, and we've addressed an imaginary problem that doesn't exist, let's move forward. Personally, Wes, I just want to say right now, I would rather see the industry burn to the ground than work with any Frankensteins. And you guys can quote me on that. I will not work with a Frankenstein. No way.
I will shut this YouTube channel down before I make a video with a flat earther. It's just not my bag, baby.
No, there you go. You know what? No Minotaurs in the comic industry. I know that might upset some of you. I know Jim's going to be upset. Jim from Weird Science. He's 1/8 Minotaur. Listen, Jim. I've worked with Minotaurs in the past. I went to war with Minotaurs, my side. But I'll be damned if I'm going to work in comics with any goddamn Minotaurs. You could take that.
We're not giving them the comic industry back.
No unicorns.
This is the other thing that he said was the second top comic business story of 2023, according to Rob Salkowitz. Digital Renaissance Brewing. Last week, Amazon formally pulled the plug on Comixology, the winner of the first round of the Digital Comics War of the early 2010s. However, flowers are already blooming at Comixology's gravesite. New digital platforms like Omnibus, Global Comics, Mangamo, Azuki, and Manta are giving readers more choices for content, business models, and reading experiences, while giving publishers and creators more ways to reach readers. And Distillery, founded by former Comixology execs David Steinberger and Chip Mosher, just launched their promised digital platform with a unique angle. I've heard of Distillery. I've never heard of any of those other companies. How is the major digital platform for U.S. comic books shutting down a good thing for comic books? I just don't see it.
Well, now all these things with made up names, like that you can't remember. All right, like I've already forgotten everything you said except distillery. With let's take out all the vowels and be hip, be cool. There's somebody with the real finger on the pulse. All those lame Comixology originals that didn't move the needle at all. Those were all from Mr. Mosher at Distillery. So he's really got his finger on the pulse. I wonder how many of those Distillery books that were returnable were actually returned. What do you think? 90%? Something like that?
It's got to be a lot.
That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that it was above 90%.
Because like the Jock book, and Jock's a good artist, but it was still $7 for something that you don't really care about, unless you care about Jock's art only. You know what I mean?
I mean, this was kind of already tried, right? With like Artist Elite already did this. Just a bunch of books by artists.
Yeah, they didn't have Comixology execs.
Well, I mean, to me, I think that's only a bonus.
Yeah, I don't see this one. And the reason this is in there, in full disclosure, the thing that Rob's been talking about for like 12 years now, and he's been writing a book, is how digital comics are going to overtake the American market. And it still hasn't happened, but he's still forecasting it and acting like it's still happening. Now, it certainly has happened in Asia. Like Japan is the biggest comic market in the world, and well over half of their sales are digital sales. Korea is an enormous market. Well over half of their sales, dollar-wise, are digital sales as well. But that is not transferred over to the U.S. market. I think the highest it ever got was 15%, and it's below 10% now. It actually dropped.
Well, I mean, the Japanese market is so much different because you get so much more for your money. The biggest problem with digital comics is they cost the same as buying physical comics.
Well, the biggest problem with digital comics in America is that DC and Marvel don't have a strategy, and they gave it to Comixology and said, you do it. Whereas in Japan, that was central to all of their business strategy, and that's how they made it a thing. That's why they made it the new spinner rack for comic books.
Manga's just easier to read on an app too. It's easier to read on a tablet. American comics, not so much. And the way that the readers work, where it's like they go to one panel and then they go to the next panel, that's not a very good way to read comics. Like, at least not American ones. I don't like it at all. I think it was Stan Lee who said that, was quoted as saying that, I'm paraphrasing here, so forgive me if I don't get every word exactly right, but he said that comics were like breasts. It's okay to see one on a screen, but he'd rather hold one in his hand.
I do a lot of digital comics and digital breasts.
Well, you're married. You get to hold breasts in your hand whenever you want, right? That's how it works.
I've been fighting with my kids for 8 years now. I'll never give them up. When's daddy's turn? That's what I'm saying. All right, so he's got 3 more of the top business stories: media meltdown or temporary blip. Between the strikes, the underperformance of tentpoles not involving fashionable dolls, nuclear scientists, or kaijus, and the ongoing dramas shaking up Disney and Warner Brothers, this has not been Hollywood's finest hour. From the comics perspective, it's easy to point to disappointing box office results from Ant-Man, the Wasp: Quantumania, The Flash, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Blue Beetle, and the Marvels as signs that the long-term rot may be setting in. The narrative of 2023 is that superhero franchises are on their way out. We'll see if the big releases of 2024 can make a dent in that. How is this a comic book business story, though? This is a movie business story.
It's two completely different
I don't think
markets.
they've ever actually proven that popular movies increase sales in books like they like you would think they would.
People go and they watch the Marvel movies and they still don't know that comic books exist.
Yeah.
I still run into people all the time that you say something about working in comics and they're like, if they don't ask
you still make those?
Oh, like comic strips in the newspaper, and you're like, no, like comic books, and then it's invariably, oh, they still make those, and then they either think that you're rich because they think that you're working on the Marvel movies, or they know that you're not making anything because I don't even know where to find one of those. Where do you even go to get a comic book?
There certainly has been a lot of box office disappointments with movies, and it sounds like we're going to get even bigger one. It sounds like the Aquaman movie might bomb bigger than the Marvels, at least domestically. Shocking.
I hope not. I don't want anything to ever underperform the Marvels. I want that
technically,
to,
Shazam, Fury of the Gods did, but the
to
budget was over half this, was under, it was like 35% of what the Marvel's budget was.
I would like the Marvels to keep its record as the biggest money losing superhero project.
Oh, it's definitely the biggest money loser. It didn't even come close to getting its budget back, let alone any of the. When I say didn't get close, like the budget was like $270 million, and it did $200 million worldwide. So it might have made $100 million in revenue. So just on the budget alone, it's negative 170. And then when you think of the marketing, it's probably another 150. So it might have lost like $320 million.
And we won't find out the actual true budget until maybe those filings next year out of the UK, because we always seem to find out like a couple of years later that it cost even more than they admitted to.
Yeah, so
I mean, I went through so many reshoots, and here's the thing too, like, the other thing you have to take into account that we never talk about is just the interest on these things, because a lot of times the movie studios take out a loan to make the movie. I don't know if that's the way that Disney does it, but if you take out a loan to make the movie, and that movie sits on the shelf for years because you keep pushing it back and doing reshoots.
They're not financed with cash, no.
Yeah, so you're paying interest on that. Mm-hmm. So that's even more costs added to.
I don't know. What do you think if superhero movies go out of fashion in movie theaters? Do you think it's going to kill the sales even more?
Of comic books? No, I think comic books have cut their own throat. I don't think that movies have anything to do with it, because I don't think there's ever, like you said, I don't think there's ever been any evidence that the movies push people in to buying the comics. Now, I know
long term, now they might show up for speculation value, or maybe to go see a hero that they like, but there's no actual evidence that they stay, even if they did show up.
Well, and how would you get them to stay? It's like you go in and you're like, hey, I just saw that Avengers movie. I sure would like to read some Avengers comics. And then, you're like, okay, well, what title do you buy? Which relaunch, which reboot, which variant cover? This team isn't the same team that's in the movies. Oh, what's going on? I don't understand. Where do I jump in? Oh, here's a new number one. I don't understand what's going on.
How about this one, Aaron? If you like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, there's a Spider-Punk book that you could read.
I guess.
It's god awful. It's absolutely terrible, but it's there for you if you like that character.
I mean, if you're going from the guys that make the Spider-Verse movies down to whoever it is that they've hired.
Who are those guys? It's the guys that made the Lego movie.
Yeah, it's their name escapes me right now. They got fired from Solo. Yeah, Lord and Miller.
Lord and Miller, yes. To I don't know who's that fat guy that did Rick and Morty.
Dan Harmon.
Cody Ziegler.
Oh, that guy.
He was also in the writers' room for She-Hulk. He's the guy that wrote Spider-Punk. It was awful.
I saw him sitting there at LA Comic-Con this year, sitting at his table.
He's a big boy, huh?
I mean, he wasn't bigger than Dan Slott.
Dan Slott's a big boy too, although he's a lot younger.
Yeah, he's a lot younger. Dan Slott's a lot shorter too, I think. So he wears it differently.
There you go. Yeah, so it's not like I just don't think there's a whole lot of correlation between the two. So if the movies go away, it could actually be good for comic books, and maybe they can actually just write stories based on the history of the comic books instead of what they would like the future of movies to be. I
don't know if we'll ever get that again. Honestly, I think that I think that we'll see the industry burn to the ground before they allow that to happen, Wes. Because
I do not think that this is a comic book like business story.
No,
I think it's an entertainment and movie business story.
It's an overall superheroes and entertainment, all over the place. I mean, look, Spider-Verse still did well. What else did well? Guardians of the Galaxy didn't do as well as it should have, but it did well. I think it paid, even the Marvels, it paid, they paid for the sins of Ant-Man. They paid for the sins of all these terrible movies that came before them. And so they've just hit diminishing returns with each film. Look at the slate. Eternals, hot garbage. Shang-Chi, hot garbage. Black Widow sucked. Multiverse of Madness, crazy disappointing. Thor Love and Thunder, god awful. Yeah. I mean, you can't have that many failures in a row and then expect anybody to show up. Like, just you lose more and more people with each garbage product that you put out. They're like, why am I going to pay for this? I don't like this anymore. Much like me with Civil War II, I just don't enjoy this anymore. And you walk away.
All right, here's the fourth biggest business story in comic books of the year. Crowdfunding to the rescue. 2023 was another big year for crowdfunding projects. Bad Idea is crushing it on Kickstarter with Matt Kent and Tomas Giorello's Save Now. Colleen Doran's adaptation of Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett's Good Omens raised nearly $3 million. And various other passion projects by new and established creators are getting funded at a clip of nearly 80%. Crowdfunding got a lot of people through the pandemic and still seems to be a core business strategy for small and mid-sized publishers. We're also getting closer to it being well integrated with the direct market and bookstore distribution so that crowdfunded projects can reach a much larger crowd.
Funny, I didn't hear about Cyberfrog in there. I didn't hear about Rippaverse. It's funny how they selectively leave out like successful campaigns, right? Sylvester Stallone's got properties in the crowdfunding space now with Richard Meyer. We don't hear about any of that. It's funny how they cherry pick who they're going to talk about.
You're not allowed to talk about those people. They're all alt-right Nazis. Didn't you hear?
They're part of the alt-right. Burn it to the
Nazis.
Ground. The funny thing is does Wade never need to work again? Does he have enough money that he never needs to work again? Because I don't know if that's true.
I don't think it's true.
And so, the idea that he would burn comics to the ground, it's like, well, where would you go, Mark? What would you do? Are you going to crowdfund? Who's going to crowdfund your book? What idea have you had that you could, that you own, that you could put out, that people would be excited about? Could you do
Maybe he's in the Landry Q. Walker thing where like, don't threaten me with being poor. I was poor once and I'll do it again. It was like, yeah, but now you're 50. Being poor when you're 50 is not the same as when you're 20. It's different. You should be successful by now. I'm
in trouble.
But hey, shockingly, crowdfunding is getting bigger and bigger after all the so-called alt-right Nazis showed them the way that showed them how to attack the market, build an audience, and then go out there and successfully crowdfund a book and release it on time.
It's almost like doing books that aren't political and that are just trying to tell a fun story to people, whether it succeeds or not. It seems like people get excited about that. Who could have guessed?
I'm super excited for Matt Kent and Tomas Giorello doing great because I was a big fan of those guys back at Valiant before it was ruined.
Yeah, Matt seems like a good guy too. Like I've every like interaction I've seen with him. Yeah. And I like to see, it's like there's people in the industry, we talk a lot about all these terrible people in the industry. There are some very good people in the industry. There's people that are genuinely nice and genuinely trying to tell good adventure stories, good superhero stories. We talk about them here on the channel. Your Robert Venditti's, your Jeremy Adams, Matt Kint, guys that are just out there trying. They're not out there insulting the fans. They're not out there trying to cause trouble. They don't, their brains.
Eric Burnham does all those Saturday morning adventures cartoons or comics. Those are great.
Yeah. Sylvania and I pitched the Turtles one. And obviously they didn't go for it. And years later they got desperate and they decided to do it, but with Eric Burnham. But wasn't even mad about it because Eric Burnham does a good job.
No, he does an amazing job. Yeah, there's a lot of good people out there. It's unfortunate
they don't get the calls though. No. It's just the we're just, I guess there's just people that answer on the first ring and will take any page rate they get. And those are the people that get hired. The good news is that so many good people are leaving the big two that eventually it may come around that they might just stumble into some good talent by accident because they just need to hire anybody.
Yeah, I think we're going to get more Joanne Stairs and Jadzia Axelrods and Tim Sheridans. And maybe we'll get one diamond in the rough.
I like going to my comic guy and telling him, is the new Fire and Ice out? And he goes to hand me the Joanne Starrer one, and I'm like, no, the good one. And he's like, and he laughs because he knows what he's doing. He knows he's messing with me.
Nobody reading that comic book. Shockingly, that one ended up on my 10 worst comics of the year list.
Interesting.
Are you surprised?
No, because it is. It's
bad.
That could probably one of the 10 worst comics of all time.
Yeah, well, 2023 was a good year for bad comics, and I think that's one of the reasons crowdfunding is doing so well. And the other reason, obviously, being a lot of people that have talent are moving over to crowdfunding and other ways of self-publishing to just get away from Marvel and DC. Like, why would you want to even be associated with the publishers anymore at this point?
How could you not even mention like Iconic in that article? Like, even if you're like, I'm not going to talk about Ethan Van Sciver, blah, 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 blah. How can you not mention Iconic, who has a steady, just a steady progression of success?
Well, they don't even mention Brian Pulido here.
Yeah.
The guy's been doing it longer than anybody.
Pat Shand, crowdfund stuff all the time, is very successful at it.
But you're only allowed to mention the people this guy looks up to, apparently. But I imagine crowdfunding does get bigger and bigger and better and better. And certainly a lot of the creators are out there are becoming more savvy on how to promote the book, get it funded, but also how to get it produced, which is the most important part. Because if you remember when crowdfunding comics was really taking off, a lot of that shit never got done in time, if it even got done. Like there's still projects I'm waiting for that I'll never get. I know it. Like 5 years
late. The only one I'm waiting on is that Bermuda 13. That's the only one that I actually put out a tweet, was like, I guess I'm never getting this. And then the guy responded and he was like, actually, I just put out an update. We've had a lot of challenges, but still working on it. And then I checked, and sure enough, he had an update. So fingers crossed. I'm hoping to get that because it looked fun. What else is out there right now that we should talk about? I think Rennie's doing great with Fiendish. I think that Aaron Lopresti is killing it. He's already delivered on 2 campaigns, and now he's working on Kit Carter, his 3rd campaign. And he's only been like doing this like a year and a half, 2 years maybe. He's already and he's getting a book, getting these big thick books out every year, and they've both been great. So I think crowdfunding is going to continue to grow, and I think the people that actually know how to connect to an audience and not call them names and not cast aspersions on them because you're high and mighty person at Marvel. I was talking to someone earlier today, and we were talking about how CB Cebulski had said that, and he said this in Chicago, which is hilarious. But he said, working for Marvel is like working for the New York Yankees, or being on the New York Yankees. It's the big time. And I was like, no, not anymore. Now working at Marvel is pretty much like
the Yankees and fucking Interstellar.
It's like no, it's like our
baseball anymore.
It's like being part of the Knicks, the New Jersey Nets.
They still pay money, man.
Yeah, right.
And Interstellar looked like you got paid in food.
You don't see, you don't see any of the New Jersey Nets talking about putting up GoFundMe's for their dental work.
No. This is his last business story. Censorship is on the rise. I hate to end on a down note, but 2023 was one of the most chilling years in decades when it comes to censorship of comics and graphic novels. Organized efforts are underway across the U.S. and elsewhere to remove comics and other controversial content from the bookshelves of schools and libraries, and to target librarians, retailers, creators, and publishers. I imagine this is mostly because of genderqueer, because they want it like in elementary schools and middle schools. And if that makes me like all for censorship, then fuck it. I guess I'm the guy for censorship, because that shit should not be in school libraries available to little kids. Way too much graphic content on there, but that's what's chilling us, right?
Yeah, that's very chilling. It's very chilling that people don't want strangers sexualizing their children or teaching their children about
graphic representations on how to give another dude a blowjob.
Yeah, for elementary school kids.
Yes.
It's that's not censorship. Like, even when I was a kid, there were just certain books you weren't allowed to read. No, they were allowed to exist.
It's in the bookstore. You just can't have it in the school library.
Yeah, it's not part of the curriculum.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of books in my school library that weren't part of the curriculum, but there are plenty, but they were approved for the audience that was in the school. And that stuff shouldn't be approved for little kids. It's weird.
My school library is where I discovered Douglas Adams and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Well, that must have been a good day.
It was. It was like, I had heard about it from a friend of mine who would always reference it, my friend Mike, and when we were in school. And then when I discovered that it was in the library, I was like, yeah, I'm going to read the heck out of this, and fell in love with it. But, there's nothing in there that's particularly, it was junior high, I think. So there's nothing in there that's junior high school student can't read. There's nothing in there that was inappropriate. It certainly didn't have any graphic depictions of blowjobs.
Well, certainly in genderqueer. That's what the chilling thing. They want me to think of like removing mouse from high schools is the same thing as removing genderqueer from elementary schools and middle schools.
Look, I mean, I don't want kids in elementary school reading Mein Kampf. No, but I'm not saying that you take it out of bookstores.
No, don't say it. So what you want at a bookstore.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things that exist in the bookstore that shouldn't be in an elementary school. Like there's things that are age appropriate, and there's things that are just this idea that
I think Watchmen is a great comic book. 8-year-olds shouldn't read it. They're not ready for shit like that.
No, absolutely not.
It's not a hard line in the sand to draw.
No, it really is. They want to. Yeah, of course they want to.
You're hypocritical. It's like, no, I'm not. I just have fucking common sense.
Yeah, it's a perfectly reasonable stance to take that things, there's books that are appropriate for certain ages, and people probably shouldn't be. Look, I had an ex-girlfriend who her mom was giving her books that were way too advanced and way too graphic for her age, and it screwed her up. It screwed her up through high school. And I would say that the ramifications of that existed through the through the present day. There's just certain stuff you shouldn't know. I remember when I first found out about sex, and it was a 6th grader coming over and showing us a magazine that he'd stolen from his dad's stash, and we were all horrified. we didn't know.
One thing I think
our minds were not ready.
What was the Scrooge McDuck story that they censored out?
Oh, I don't know specifically which one, but yeah, it was the Life and Times. Yeah, it was Don Rosa, and removing those, now the story doesn't make sense because everything in there is chronological.
Removing that from the collected edition because through a modern lens, it doesn't look right.
Well, look, they just took out 2 Predator stories that Dark Horse did, one from the Civil War and one from World War II, for sensitivity reasons, and that's why I canceled my Predator Omnibus order. Because I'm not interested. That's censorship right there.
That's weird. Yes.
But Disney's doing that all over the place. Like they, so when we did our first run of Darkwing Duck at Boom, we could have Darkwing with his gas gun on the cover. By the time we got to Joe Books, we weren't allowed to put Launchpad on the cover because 2017 DuckTales was coming out, and the people at Disney Publishing thought that would confuse people. And so we almost couldn't use him in the comic. And then I said, like, we can't do the comic without Launchpad. Like, that's just not gonna. And so they went back and they were like, okay, you can use him in the comic, but you can't have him on covers, which was just stupid. But you also can't show Darkwing's gas gun. Even if you put a grappling hook in it, so that doesn't look like a gun, it's clearly a grappling hook gun, you can't show it on covers anymore.
It's funny. So DC Comics, like 2 years ago, they had that Wonder Woman book coming out. And Maxwell Lord was on the cover. And he's clearly holding a gun, and they made the artist like turn it into like a bubble gun. Like a ray gun or something. It looked like a toy, and it was so ridiculous and hilarious.
Yeah, and
that's stupid. You can't have Wolverine smoking a cigar anymore.
No, because Joe Quesada's father died of lung cancer, so he had to take them all out of.
Yeah.
I mean, even the villains can't smoke, which is, you can't have Red Skull with that long-handled cigarette anymore. Like I said, you can't do Darkwing with the gas gun. McFarlane Toys isn't allowed to put out any of the action figures that have guns with guns. So you buy a Red Hood, he can't have his pistols. He has to have like a crowbar or something, or a sword. Grifter came with a sword.
As if someone braining someone with a crowbar is any more like humane than shooting them.
Yeah, I think that, or cutting someone in half with a katana. But it's all these progressive sensibilities. Guns are bad, so we need to take. Trust me, it's coming from Marvel.
To present like graphic sexual depictions to like grade schoolers and middle schoolers.
Well, that was just an act of love in the Senate, Wes. It wasn't just two guys having sex in the workplace, which shouldn't be done.
Hey, well, let's not get into this.
But I'm saying, like, this is the difference of the things that they want to censor versus the things they won't. And trust me, Disney will come for Marvel in that way. You'll hit a day where Marvel Comics is not allowed to have any realistic guns. So you want to do a Daredevil story, there'll have to be robbers that are running around with ray guns that they got from you'll have to have some story reason, like, oh, they robbed a Shield depot and now they're robbing liquor stores with the guns. You won't be allowed to have realistic guns anymore. It'll the way things are going, it'll happen. I mean, that's what happened with the standards characters with Disney. So Disney owns Marvel. It'll happen eventually. I mean, the bottom line is corporatism kills creativity. I don't think that anybody will be shocked to hear that. Corporatism equals cowardice. Corporatism equals conformity. It kills creativity. It kills any chance of you having anything that has any edge or any bite. It just blunts everything it touches and waters it down. And that's what we're seeing. But the good news for comics, and since we are talking about the good news about crowdfunding, is that you have more people branching out on their own. You're going to get less, the corporate comics, they'll continue to fall away. They'll continue to drop in sales until the point that, maybe even the direct market collapses. We certainly have Rob Liefeld out there predicting that there's going to be some major shakeups in 2024. And if he's hearing the same things I'm hearing, then yes, absolutely, there probably will be. But the good news is for comic book fans that people are branching out. They're doing their own IPs. They're creating their own universes, and they don't have any corporate overlords that they have to answer to. They don't have any sensitivity readers coming in and telling them you can't do this, you can't do that. They're actually able to tell innovative stories that get people excited. So in that way, we should all feel encouraged.
Well, are you ready for some more bad news? Because we do have the stupid tweet of the week to get to, Aaron.
Oh, and you know what? I intentionally did not look into what you were deciding was the stupid tweet of the week. So everybody's going to get my raw reaction to whatever it is.
This is Heidi McDonald. Apparently did not get the memo that the little collage of tweets that Ryan Higgins put together trying to claim that Mark Miller was trying to disparage Gail Simone was in fact not correct. And that wasn't what he was talking about. She says, yeah, solved everything by having female comics pros belittled, insulted, and called pigs under the guise of fighting bullying. Good work, lad.
I mean, does anybody Heidi's little echo chamber is so small. She has such little influence over readers. She's just I don't know. She just reminds me of a fish just that's been pulled out of the water and is just laying there on the rock, gasping its last. All of these tweets are just so out of touch and it doesn't surprise me that this journalist didn't get the menu.
Well, they're very not happy with the term canceled pigs. And I don't blame it. It's not a nice thing to say about somebody.
No, but they've earned it. Sorry.
Well, I'm not going to debate you on that one.
Yeah, you know what's not a nice thing to call people? Racist, misogynist,
Nazis,
sexist, Nazis, white supremacist. It's not nice to call people that. And when you say it, they know that most of the time they're just like Pat Searcher said, it's an imaginary problem. It's either in their heads. I truly believe that Mark Waid believes it because Mark Waid is delusional. But most of these people, they know that it's just a smear that they can use to shut up their political opponents or people that disagree with them or people that disagree with where they want to steer comics because they want to control it. It's just a method of control. And what happened was Mark Mark Miller coined a phrase that they can't argue against. And he didn't even name anybody. He just said these cancel pigs, and then they all outed themselves by complaining about being called cancel pigs.
She also agrees with us now, though, that you're now allowed to admit that comics have a quality and an excitement issue. She officially allowed people to do that with an article this past week. A video was up on the channel today when we're recording this. Obviously, it'll be up on the Patreon today, but not up on the YouTube until Christmas Day. But we're allowed to discuss this now, and Heidi agrees that the quality is not good, and that has declined the sales.
I'm so glad that the Council of Cancel Pigs has come together and allowed us, the little people, to finally say that the comic industry is in trouble.
We're not allowed to talk about why, though. We're not allowed to talk
no, you
about
can't do
details.
that. Well, you know why? It's because of Raina Telgemeier and Dogman. It's just changing, Wes. Yeah, you know what's changing is people that read comics have walked away. Longtime fans have walked away because the quality is trash.
I think finally enough retailers fought back with these guys and like, hey, listen, stop acting like Batman and Superman and X-Men is fucking Dogman. Let's stop acting like Action Comics is My Hero Academia or Demon Slayer or Berserk or any of these books. They're complete. They might want to call them all comic books and throw them in a little chart together, but that is not an indication of whether or not the direct market itself is doing well. It turns out the direct market is doing very badly, even included in the top business stories out here. But we're not allowed to fix the problem because Mark Miller is a bad guy. We're not allowed to encourage DC and Marvel to, hey, let's change our pay structure and allow greater royalties to actually entice people in to where you don't have to put out more money, but you do have to put out more money on the back end if it's actually successful. We can't talk about let's bring some of these great writers back and let them be editors since the editorial is so bad because Mark Miller apparently is a bad guy.
Well, you know, he went against the orthodoxy, and you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to go against the far left religion that rules comics. You know, even like people that are centrist aren't allowed to be in the industry. You have to agree with everything, and you have to keep your head down. You have to keep your mouth shut. And then when they demand that you go out and you sign some petition that says that you won't sexually assault people, you have to all speak up about it. It's just a ridiculous. It's a ridiculous high school lunchroom.
That we don't want to sexually assault people.
I mean, I always thought it was implied, but apparently
we know
not.
that that's a bad thing, and you should do it.
Yeah, well, just like we know that racism and that these things are bad things, and it's implied that we shouldn't be doing those things. But apparently you have to virtue signal about it constantly, while you like Mark Waid, you have to constantly talk about your virtues while you threaten a minority business partner that you will tie them up in court forever and drain them of all their money because you have the money to outlast them. And basically take their business and their livelihood away from them. All these things that we see that he's been accused of. It's like we were talking about. It's like Elon Musk said, people who virtue signal how good they are while doing evil.
Man, my favorite part of the pledge that they made, like everybody pledge on social media, was I think Scott Snyder was like on vacation with his kids and stuff, and with his family. He came back like, oh, something happened. And then like Heather Antos like forced him to do the pledge. When he
was it that pledge, or was it that he didn't come out and castigate Comicsgate?
It was one or the other, but it was great. That was one of my favorite moments in comic books. It was very enlightening. Well,
it just showed me how this person who should have no power in the comic book industry whatsoever.
Certainly not over Scott Snyder. They never even worked at the same publisher.
No, Scott Snyder should have said, "Go piss up."
She's an editor. He's like a superstar writer.
Well, she wasn't even an editor at like over him.
No, never.
and I doubt she ever will be over him. But no. The problem with Scott Snyder is everybody who says boo to him, he kowtows to. And we just see that from these writers, just like even Jason Aaron. He wrote that Conan story, and one person on the internet has a problem with a character in the story, and then he has to do the groveling tour.
Yeah,
like you can say to people, like this week I said to somebody like, hey, sorry that upset you, and then they tried to get me to apologize on their terms, and I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. So like you can say that, it's fine. Why are all these people so cowardly?
I don't know. I wasn't raised like that. I'm Gen X.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I wasn't
some
raised
of these
to have
guys. I think
attitude of
Jason
fear.
Aaron's got to be my age, right? He's gonna be 45
or older. Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks older. You look good. You're keeping it tight, Wes.
Well, I do what I can. Fucking MVP puts the standard so high in comic books as far as
he's got youth on his side. Do you think he has? Do you think he has a?
Yeah, but comic books aren't even for him anymore.
Do you think he has a moisturizing regimen?
Oh, he's got moisturizing. He's probably got special stuff for his eyes. Because he's always glistening. He's just as glowing.
You think MVP is just lying back with the cucumbers over his eyes and just getting the face?
He is. Got the paraffin wax on his feet and his hands just in case. You know what I mean? When I go to the spa, I get a foot detail. MVP definitely gets a pedicure. You know what I'm saying?
You're too beautiful for this world, MVP.
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
And then finding out that Jim looks like Andre Agassi and he's like aging gracefully, it put me over the edge.
I'm disintegrating into Buddy Hackett.
Exactly. I don't need this shit. I thought I was like man pretty, and then I get in with all these other guys. It turns out I'm just some average schmo. It's not cool.
All these handsome comics nerds.
Yeah.
Freaking Josh.
Yeah, Josh. He doesn't even shave. He plucks.
His entire beard that might grow in.
No, he has a beard, but he plucks around. He doesn't shave around it. You can tell. That's why he always looks so clean.
And then I'm coming on here starting to get my hobo
exactly. We're like a couple of hobos.
We're gonna build our bindles for Christmas. We can do a craft
stream I'm married.
where we build our bindles on a stick. How come hobos don't carry bindles anymore? They've just lost all their charm. Now they're on meth and they try to stab you.
Well, not in the Marvel Comics universe. You got the Captain America of the Railroads.
Yeah, that guy's not mentally ill, right?
Hell if I know. I don't think he was written to be that way, but you never know.
So why is he homeless exactly? Like he's a young guy. He could get a job.
Protecting the railroads.
Okay, you could still do that, but like live in a apartment.
I was watching this video. It was crazy. And they were showing the train tracks. I think it was outside of San Francisco or LA. It was definitely in California. And apparently this is where all the Amazon shipping goes through.
Oh,
and
yeah,
dudes will just jump on and like throw all the packages out and open them up and take the stuff that they want and leave everything on the side.
Yeah, that mostly happens where? California?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sure it happens other places, but the video I saw was from California.
Well, you can't be punished in California for committing crimes anymore. It's why like car break-ins are going through the roof. It's, people are looting stores. You could just walk out. You can steal in the state of California right now up to $950 per incident. Not even per day, Wes. Go to Target, grab $950 worth of stuff, slap on the wrist if you get caught. But like, by the way, they're trying to either they've tried to pass legislation or they have passed legislation where the employees can't even try to stop them. You just have to let them do it.
They're going to make it illegal for people to move their businesses too. You know it.
Oh, well, they already tried to pass something where if you're leaving California, they levy some big tax on you for moving out of state. And that got shot down, but they'll try it again. Look, our governor is an imbecile. He's just a freaking tool. The dumbest.
How can you do that? Why are you still doing it in California?
I want to get out in the next few years. I have, there's a couple of things that have kept me here, but yeah.
Have you thought about the tropical islands of the Philippines? It's beautiful here.
I often think about just like finding a nice place in South America and like just like faking my death and just starting over in South America as Esteban.
Dude, yeah, in Costa Rica, that's a place I would do it. Costa Rica was awesome.
And there's dinosaurs.
There's dinosaurs in Costa Rica?
That's what I hear.
Oh, from the Jurassic Park legacy, yes, the islands off the coast.
But I think that there was it even showed up in like a Punisher War Journal because there's rumors that there's still some dinosaurs like living in the jungles down there that didn't go extinct. Like there's
like the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland?
Yeah, kind of like that, but a little more plausible because it's not just a...
Whoa. There are documented accounts of the Loch Ness Monster that span 100 years. What are you talking about?
How old is he? How is he breeding? I
don't know. Are you a fucking dinosaur export? Maybe there's a whole family.
Maybe, but it just seems like...
That's a very deep lake.
Sure. I mean, look, I would love it. Please let the Loch Ness Monster be real. I want
You're one of those people that didn't believe in pandas.
Well, I don't think we've ever been to the moon.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, I love it. It upsets people so much. I don't actually believe it, but I like to say it because just if people get so worked up. And if you tell them something like, "I don't believe in dinosaurs," and they're like, "What?" You're like, "I've seen the science. I reject it." And it's like they don't know what to do with that. Their mind breaks.
I used to do something similar to this, when I was younger, because I'm a middle child, I was in the military. And so I was in Colorado visiting my buddy Drew, who we used to be roommates there, and he was going to Colorado State. So he was in Fort Collins. I think that's what Colorado State was. And they have the New Belgium Brewery there. You know what New Belgium Brewery is?
I mean, I know, I've heard of it.
Like Fat Tire beer.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Total hippie brand or whatever. That's what one of the big beers, obviously, in Colorado. I think it's gotten bigger nationwide. So we go to their brewery, and they're completely like off the grid when it comes to electricity. They're completely like self-sustaining. Like all the gases produced during the brewing process, they use as energy. They got like all these. They got a wind farm, I think, and they got like I believe they have solar paneling and stuff like that. So they don't actually use any electricity that's on the grid. So they're self-sustaining, and that's like one of the big selling points. And so I was sitting there, and then you get like your little beer sample at the end, and I'm talking to Drew's friends who are in college, and they don't realize that I'm an instigator or whatever. Or maybe at this point they have, but I was like, man, I'm never going to drink Fat Tire again. Like, why not? I was like, well, now that I found out this place is self-sustaining and they're not part of the grid, it's like they're just taking money and food out of the mouths of power workers in the state of Colorado, and I don't do that. I support unions, and I support workforce, and I don't think this is a good thing, and I just can't in good conscience keep putting people out of jobs by keep buying this beer. And apparently the lady sitting right behind me almost started crying because she could hear what I was saying.
What about it upset her? Like, did she have a thing? Like, what did it break her mind? Like, she's like, I'm for self-sustaining energy. I'm for the environment, yes, but I also am pro-union. What do I do? No.
The fact that I would not support a company because they weren't using electricity.
Oh, I love to tell people, like, when they say, like, oh, your carbon footprint. And I'm like, well, I'll just burn more tires in my backyard to make up for what you're doing. Because I
also used to forbid people at work from recycling my aluminum cans because I was pro-aluminum industry. That would get people upset too. They would come over and I'm like, you leave those 3 cans, those can't go into recycling. And they're like, why not? I was like, well, I bought those cans. Technically they still belong to me, and I want them to go into, to the landfill. Like, why would you want that? I was like, well, I support big aluminum.
I used to say that about styrofoam, just based off an old just based off of an old Carlin bit where I said, like, why do you think that we're on this planet? The Earth needed styrofoam. Couldn't make it on its own, needed us. So we produce styrofoam, it goes into the landfill, the Earth gets what it needs. And eventually when the Earth has enough styrofoam, we'll be unnecessary. There'll be a volcanic eruption, worldwide kind of, cataclysm that'll wipe us out, and the Earth will start its new paradigm. The Earth plus styrofoam. No humans.
People don't realize this, especially the younger generations. They don't realize if you take a styrofoam cup and you put an ice cube in it in a cold beverage, 4 days later, there'll still be an ice cube. That thing will keep all the coolness to your drink to it. Nothing else will even ever come close to a styrofoam container for drinks, especially.
When I was in my 20s and I was still drinking soda, if I could get it at a place in a styrofoam cup, you go to those little liquor stores that are like independently owned, and they'd have the styrofoam cups. That was the best thing in the world.
Man, in Colorado, they have liquor stores with drive-through windows. And if you buy like a bottle of whiskey, they give you a glass of ice, like a cup of ice to go. I was like, this just doesn't seem right. It sends me the wrong message.
Seems like,
to start pouring.
Right one in the car, man. Start to get hammered on your way home. It's what could possibly go wrong?
Fucking hippies. They never can get the message right. It's okay to drink and drive, but you don't want to use electricity. Like, fucking figure yourselves out, man.
Do you think I'm going to save, do you think, maybe some people are, they're like, right around the corner from their house, and they're like, oh, cool, I got a cup of ice to go with it. When I get home, I can pour myself. But no, you're sending the message, like, pop this open in the car, man.
Yes. You don't want to drink that whiskey warm.
I'm driving cross country. Someone gave me like the little whiskey stones that you put in the freezer and then you put them in. That doesn't work as well as ice.
No, it's not the same thing. But
listen, your whiskey should be gone before the ice is melted.
Knows the one place in the city of Kansas City that still has styrofoam cups, and that's the only place he'll go get a soft drink from to this day.
Wise man.
Man, remember when McDonald's, all their burgers came in styrofoam?
Yeah. You had the little clamshells, and remember the McDLT?
Your Big Mac would fucking come home like piping hot, like it was just out of the oven or off the fryer or whatever.
Now it's just wrapped in that shitty paper.
Man. I mean, I liked when McDonald's like embraced who they were. Like your shitty, disgusting, like not good for you food. Why are you doing salads? Like, get out of here with that stuff. Why are you trying to act like your burgers are healthy? Just embrace that it's fatty food and that you're not pro-environment. Why are we baking the pies now? They were so much better when they were fried.
Oh man, they were so much better.
Like
they're still just as nuclear hot though when you get them.
Yeah, but they don't taste as good.
They don't taste as good. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't go to McDonald's to count calories. I go to McDonald's.
Where can you get a fried pie? Does Popeyes have a fried pie?
They still have the fried pies here.
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
You know why? Because you're right. The Philippines is a great place to live.
This is a great place to live. This place is awesome.
I mean, you can't get comics, and Amazon doesn't ship there. And
if you live in Manila,
there's no sandwich.
Comics,
there's no sandwich culture. I don't know, man. There's no sandwich culture.
There is not really a sandwich culture. There's like no deli to where you can get cold cuts or anything. Do
you think that if somebody managed to figure that out, that would be like the Philippines would just go nuts and there'd be like a line out the door, like this new sensation of
no, because they do sell like sliced ham, not the good kind that you would get from a deli, but like is the processed ham or whatever.
But like, just imagine that you started Wes's French dip.
Yeah, but here's the problem. They don't do roast beef here. I would have to find a place to import the beef. They would try to sell me caribou, and the expenses would go through the roof. I would never be able to make any money off it because it would be too expensive. There's no roast beef culture here. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
Yeah.
I mean, Perch would say it's great because it keeps Arby's from moving into that market, but...
Man, I fucking love Arby's. Arby's is right up there with Christmas for me,
Our Arby's hurt him badly, and he's carrying that grudge.
I don't get it, the hate of Arby's. Like, that's the best, fast food beef joint you're going to find. It's better than a burger. It's getting right up there with, like, Texas Roadhouse.
I think Arby's gets a bad rap. I mean, even The Simpsons made the joke about, like, I'm so hungry I could eat at Arby's, and everybody gasps. I think Perch wrote that
seasoned curlies, I'll put those fries up with anybody's.
Go look in the credits of that episode. I bet you Perchington is listed as
probably. Yeah, he probably funded that thing. This is just a smear campaign of a great American company.
He's gonna die on that hill, man.
I don't get it.
Like on his death. Do you think on his deathbed, Perch will like motion somebody to come forward, and he'll be like, "The truth is, I actually really kind of liked Arby's."
Of course he did, because everybody likes Arby's because it tastes delicious. Roast beef sandwich is all American,
Their curlies are great. Those
the curlies are great. They used to have the loaded potato bite thing. Apparently they don't do that, but I think they still do poppers, right?
I mean, I haven't been, but I assume.
Yeah.
I think the last time I went I went earlier this year with Max because it's in the parking lot of the shop, and we were at the comic shop, and I was like, let's go grab something to eat, and we went over to Arby's, and I got one of the Market Fresh sandwiches, if I recall. Like they had the chicken salad sandwich at the time, which I think is really
absolutely, that's Christmas in a bag right there. You don't even celebrate the holidays. You got a Market Fresh Sammy.
I'm a sucker for chicken salad sandwiches, man.
And they put like the walnuts and shit in there.
Yeah, so you get the crunch, you get that texture.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
I think you also, it's not grapes. Is it cherries? They put something else in there that gives you the sweetness.
Like the cranberries. No,
it's not cranberry. It's something else. At least they used to. This shit was good. I like their Reuben sandwich. That was good too.
Speaking of good sandwiches, down at Downtown Disney, I think it's gone now. Or it came back, it went away and then it came back for a little while, or I don't know what's going on down there. But they had Earl of Sandwich, and they had the Thanksgiving sandwich where you could get the sandwich with the turkey, the stuffing, the cranberry sauce, and it was just like the sandwich that you would make yourself, the day or two after Thanksgiving. Oh, so damn good.
So you had a good sandwich from Earl of Sandwich?
Yeah,
because I've eaten there twice, and both times their sandwiches were disappointing.
Because that's the only sandwich I've ever had there. So it is that one. So that specific
maybe that was the one to do.
Yeah, I can't.
It's not like Jason's Deli. Jason's Deli made some damn good sandwiches, even if they were too expensive.
Yeah, there's some good delis out towards LA. The downside.
Well, Jason's Deli is kind of like I think it's a chain of like it's like pretentious bread for dudes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Although I know you like Panera, right?
No, not really.
Oh, you seem like a Panera kind of guy with that beard.
It's the Panera beard. Hang on, let me go put on a.
You probably wear a Newsy hat. You know what I mean? I could see it.
Oh God, what? I would never wear a Newsy hat. It's a Newsy hat to a guy in a Newsy hat to me is kind of like a girl with a septum piercing. It's like I take an immediate dislike to them, and they now have to overcome the Newsy hat or the or the septum piercing. So
when you say septum piercing, I'm thinking the nose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the one that's right in the center, not like the little one off to the side, the little ring off to the side. That's fine.
Got you. The hoghorn thing, the pig ring.
Yeah, the bull thing. The one that I really hate is the one that dangles down like on each side and has the little balls on the end. I absolutely hate that. It looks like something's hanging out of your nose. It's gross.
Not anything I would ever do. That's an obstacle that you can't overcome in my book.
That's something that like you'd be like standing at a bar or something, and some drunk girl will be telling you like you should get like a septum piercing, like it give you like a tribal look. I think.
I'm going to find out that AL has a fucking septum piercing, and she's going to be all mad at us.
I've met AL. She doesn't have a septum piercing.
Well, thank God.
Yeah,
she seems so normal.
She's a sweetheart.
Yeah, she seemed like a really nice person.
Hi, AL.
Yeah, hopefully she's watching. She's probably with the family on Christmas. She probably watched this the next day.
Yeah, somewhere in there. She'll come check it out.
Yeah, she's a big fan of yours.
Apparently I have a few of them, and some of them like me more than you. I don't know how that happened.
You're like the big fucking teddy bear of the show or something.
You think so?
I don't think so. No, that's why I don't get it. That's what I don't understand.
I'm the teddy bear of the show. There's at least one guy that doesn't like me. I don't know if you saw that in the comments.
There's always one guy that hates everybody.
I'm bad take Sparrow, man.
But there's one guy that watches all my videos that hates me too. It happens.
But he watches all your videos, so he's clearly a fan. He just loves to hate you.
Hey, that's part of the deal, I guess.
He's singing that Erasure song every time he watches.
There's like a little group of people that hate Doc, of course. There's definitely a group of people that hate Purge. That dude is like, I don't get it because he's got the softest takes, and everyone just hates it for it.
I like it when Perch gets spicy, like those rare moments where he gets really mad about something, and I think
it's hilarious because he does everything so dryly, and like you can hear what he's really saying, and it's funny.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, hey,
I think the delivery's great.
Opinions vary, personalities rub people the wrong way, but I just love the fact that the guy that was like, "You've got these bad takes," then he named two of them, and I was like, "Those weren't my takes. That's not what I said at all."
That happens a lot.
Well, he said that the one that got me was he said that in a video, I said that the reason that Disney lost, the reason that Disney lost, or Disney Plus lost India was because of them, them putting CRT into the Proud Family. And so I went back and I watched the video, and you say, jokingly, you don't think that India loves all the messaging that Disney's put in there? And I'm like, no, I think that India probably loves the fact that Proud Family had a bunch of critical race theory in some of their episodes. And it was a joke because obviously India doesn't even know what that is, because they're not part of the American culture. They're not part of the stupidity that's going on in our country with our conversations. And, so that has nothing to do with it. And that was the joke.
They didn't get the joke, the humor, the sarcasm.
Yeah. They thought that I was seriously saying that that's what, that India rejected all of that. And that's why Disney pulled out of India. And it was like, it's not the context at all. It's not what we're saying.
It happens, man.
We're joking around.
The best is when somebody criticizes Jim on the channel, though, because that dude will not let it go, man. He will just sit there and argue with them for like days. I've seen him do it, man. I'm like, what are you doing?
Well, Jim is 1/8 the Minotaur. What are you gonna do?
Dude, someone called him the giggler once. He's still upset.
Really?
Yes, he can't handle it. He did not like being called the guy that giggles.
Jim, it's the internet, man. Like just being on the internet. He's been
doing podcasts for like 10 years. You should know this.
There's just going to be people in there. And some of the people that come in and roast the shit out of you actually like you.
It's whatever, man. Even if they don't like me, I don't care. As long as you don't, say bad words or or do really bad faith arguments. Yeah, whatever, man. I don't care about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm easy like Sunday morning. Is that it? Or is it I'm cool like the other side of the pillow?
The Lando side of the pillow. No, the thing is, like, I've been polarizing my whole life. Like, I've had people actually say to me, like, wow, it's weird. People either really like you or can't stand you. But they're like, but I rarely run into somebody who's like, Sparrow, nah, I can take him or leave him. You know, most people are like really like on one side or the other.
I get that too.
So I'm just seeking out the people that are like, you know, yeah,
maybe
you're
that's
all right.
The Gen Xers. Maybe that's our whole generation. We're just hyperbolic.
Might be.
Because people either love or hate Doc. The only person they're indifferent to on the channel is MVP. Huh?
Oh, MVP, you gotta try harder. I don't know. I saw MVP taking some hits. I saw some people going like, "You're a sexist." You know, I saw some people railing on him in some of his comments, and I'm like, really? MVP's like so nice. I feel like
he's a sexist now too.
Yeah, you know, we're all outright Nazis.
There's probably something to do with that Warhammer 4K bullshit that no one cares about.
We dared to have an opinion that was, you know, leftist or that was right of Stalin. So
is it Warhammer 4K or 40K?
Will not abide us being in the industry.
Sheriff is it Warhammer 4K or 40K?
40K.
Why do they call it 40K?
Max could explain that to you. I don't know.
I thought you were getting into this shit.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I haven't like. I think it's just the time
period. Like the sexist dolls and all that stuff.
You know what's funny is, you know, it's like I actually make a lot of female action figures and things like that because they're just not as many made. So I customize a lot of that stuff. I guess
you have one mold for the huge boobs.
Yeah. You know, you gotta do a new chest piece that has the biggins, as they call them in the business.
Huge jugs.
It's funny because it's like some of my favorite customs that I've made was they made a Night Thrasher figure, so I did like an unmasked head for him because I wanted to be able to, you know, put the helmet under his arm and have him on display as Dwayne Taylor, you know, with his face out. I made Gabe from the Howling Commandos, but like in the SHIELD uniform. So I didn't make Gabe. I just made a Robbie Robertson because they haven't made a Robbie Robertson. So, you know, to like say, it's like
crazy. You said you do so many women, and then you named 3 characters, and none of them are female.
Well, because what I'm trying to illustrate is the fact that, you know, we get called racist, we get called sexist, we get called all these things, and yet here I am. Some of my favorite characters that I've made are all black guys, and,
listen,
you know, or
Aaron,
female characters.
You can't think about things like that. I've been called xenophobic.
Oh, I mean, I don't care. I'm just saying that, like, you know.
I'm just saying, think about that one, Aaron.
Yeah, xenophobic. You're living in the Philippines, married to a Filipina with half Asian children.
I don't live in America.
You know what? Though. But here's what they do: is you go like, well, that's impossible because this is my family, and they say, well, you just fetishize her. What does that mean?
Like white supremacy, like, hey, you were really leaping here.
Well, it's just like when they talk about, like, you know, you need to listen to women, and then, you know, you have a woman like Geeky Sparkles who goes against the grain, and then all of a sudden she's got internalized misogyny because everybody has to be a monolith, right? Like all women have to be a monolith, and if you step outside of any feminism tenet that's currently in vogue, then you are othered.
Who do they hate more, Geeky Sparkles or that Star Wars girl? They seem to dislike both of them a lot.
Yeah, I don't know how I would quantify it. Anna's, I've met and hung out with Anna. She's very sweet, and she's very welcoming. Like you know, she talks to anybody who comes up, and like she's not snobby at all. She's fantastic with people. Like, you know, she's a genuine geek. Like, I had a conversation with her, and she knew the deep lore, man, of these subjects. So she's not out there pretending.
People do not like that.
No, they don't like that at all. Well, you know, they don't like it when they can't put you in a box, and so that's why they don't like cancel pigs, is because putting people in a box is their tactic. That's theirs. You know, and you know, when someone else is able to do it to them, oh, they don't like that. Not at all.
Very nice. Do you want to talk about any of these other topics before we start talking about toys? We got time for one more.
Sure, go for it.
Which one do you want to do, the Jonathan Majors thing, or you want to do Ultimate Storm and Killmonger?
Let's talk Jonathan Majors.
So Jonathan Majors, who was portraying Kang, obviously showed up in the first season of Loki, was the big bad guy in Quantumania, and I think he was in season 2 of Loki. We're obviously building up to Avengers not Secret Wars, the Kang Dynasty.
Kang Dynasty.
But he got convicted this week, and now Marvel has cut all ties with him. Pretty fast fall from grace for Mr. Majors.
There's a lot of reports that they cut ties with him 6 months ago. So, Josh and I were kind of speculating that they probably told him, like, look, we're not moving forward with anything with you right now. And then maybe we'll revisit it if you beat the rap. But he obviously didn't beat the rap. So then they made their announcement that they were cutting ties. And the Kang Dynasty now became Avengers 5, which either suggests that they're not moving forward with Kang at all, or, that they just kind of like wanted to.
Do you think it's going to be like a recast T'Challa moment, or do you think they're just?
I think it's really easy to recast Kang if you want to do it. You just hire another
with
actor.
The character's like inherent capabilities and stuff. You could just put somebody there, and you wouldn't even have to explain it.
Look, we went from Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle, two very different looking men.
Yeah, but Rhodey was a part of Iron Man, but he wasn't going to be the big bad though he wasn't playing Thanos,
I mean, you either
Although the guy that first portrayed Thanos wasn't Josh Brolin.
No, it was Damien. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
But he was only
I've met Damien several times.
15 seconds.
Yeah, when I was at Tokyo Pop, I'd met Damien several times. And nice guy. So, yeah, he got recast. They've recast like a lot of, obviously the Red Skull, but those are all people under heavy makeup. So what you could do is you could just introduce, the whole idea of all the multiversal Kangs was unworkable anyway. It
didn't feel like there was a lot of momentum there, especially after Loki and then defeating the character so easily in Quantumania.
Yeah. It
didn't feel like a final boss at that point,
No, Jeff Loveness really, should not have been writing a major motion picture. It just killed it. Like he got beat by socialist ants. How do you come back from that? And he was the one that was supposed to be like,
the bad version that everyone should be scared of. Yes.
Yeah, that got locked away, and then and I wasn't particularly. I know a lot of people enjoyed Jonathan Majors' different versions of the Kangs. I didn't. I thought it seemed goofy. Even when he showed up as He Who Remains in Loki, I thought his performance was goofy and over the top. And then it was like, oh, he went to clown college, and everybody was like so impressed. And that apparently is what made Kevin Feige go like, we'll make him the villain of the whole phase, even though Kang has never been a particularly compelling villain in the comic books. Whenever Kang would show up in Avengers, I'd be like, got to get through this arc. Where's Ultron? That was like me as a kid. I was like, where's Ultron? Where are the Masters of Evil? This sucks.
What? There wasn't no Ultron when you were a kid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I think you're right.
Ultron was terrifying to me as a kid. He looked intimidating. He was, he was a scary character.
They did not do that character justice in the movie.
No, they just decided to make him quippy like everybody else in a late career Joss Whedon project. You go back and you watch the early stuff that Joss Whedon did, and yeah, there's quippy characters in there, but like there was solid writing, and he just kind of like, much like Bendis, he kind of like fell into his own.
Became a parody of himself.
Yeah, just was like playing his greatest hits, but didn't have anything new to say.
Yeah, so I imagine they're moving on from Kang. Like, there's no.
I hope so.
Kang. Didn't feel like there's a lot of momentum. It's got to be Doom, though, right?
Yeah, but they'll screw that up. Like, I'm even less excited. Like, part of me, like, if you would have told me 6 years ago, Dr. Doom, I'd have been like, yeah, let's go. Now, it's going to be bad. Like, and he's going to face off with Pedro Pascal, Reed Richards, and Reed Richards isn't even going to be the main character of the Fantastic Four.
Those guys aren't going to be Avengers. I'm talking about the Avengers.
I know, but it still sucks. Like, who cares?
Squaring off with Shuri and Shang-Chi and Falcon, Cap, and probably Thor.
Yeah, and they had to like amp up Shang-Chi's powers to even make him, to be on the Avengers. Welcome to the Avengers. It's like, get out of here. First of all, Simu Liu. Ugh.
So I'm watching phases 1 through 3 again, and the way it's mapped out is so cool. At the end of Ultron, a bunch of the team members kind of walk away. And the last scene, you see like the new Avengers that are being brought in, like Falcon and Scarlet Witch and stuff like that. And I remember oh man, this was a cool moment. I really enjoyed this. Because they had a really good feel for introducing new characters that were going to be important.
Mm-hmm.
And making them feel like Avengers, which they haven't been able to do in phase 4 or 5.
No, and like, is anybody excited about Thunderbolts? I might have been if you built up the Masters of Evil over the course of these phases, and then we were getting the Masters of Evil, and you think you could have really done it. You could have really done like what made the Thunderbolts a big deal when they first debuted, is if you had taken these villains and you had built them up, and then you did the whole misdirect where it's like, it's Citizen V and it's Meteorite and it's Songbird and all these characters, and obviously it wouldn't have fooled the audience if it was the same actors that played the villains, but it still could have worked from a universe perspective.
If you look at the character arc of Bucky Barnes, starting with Captain America: First Avenger, obviously going into Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War, all through there, he has an amazing character arc for never having his own movie, really. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's the title character, the subtitle character in Winter Soldier, but he's not like a starring role in that. But the story they tell for his redemption is really fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Winter Soldier is still the best Marvel movie, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, but he might have the best character arc.
Mm-hmm. And then you get Falcon,
any character from the introduction all the way to the redemption.
You get to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and
it kind of drops the ball, don't they?
Yeah, and they ruin Falcon. Who goes from like this positive, character to just being
super
another
duper
person.
Loyal, awesome friend that you know
Mm-hmm.
that you can count on. I love Falcon in these movies. Anthony Mackie really got it.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah,
I remember even at Marie is not a comic book person, and when Endgame, when Cap gave the shield to Falcon, Marie said to me, "Doesn't it make more sense to give it to Bucky? He's actually a super soldier." And I laughed and I said, "Well, that's what happened in the comics. It was Bucky that replaced Steve at first, and then later they did Falcon."
Well, technically, it was
John Walker, yeah, they did. They did John Walker first. But out of the characters that were in the Marvel universe at the time, like I was like, yeah, it should actually be Bucky.
You know what's weird with all the damage that Disney Plus has done, and I remember being so mad about the Infinity Stones being in the drawer and acting like they weren't important, even though they were like the big bad on Thanos that they had to overcome. Is in retrospect, the ending of Avengers Endgame doesn't make any sense once you find out about the TVA. Once Captain America decides to go back in time, he never would have arrived at that place in that timeline again. He would have started his own variant timeline where he lived his life completely differently and all the events would have played out differently. And he never would have showed up on that bench.
And he would have been pruned.
Yes.
Doesn't matter, Wes.
These Disney Plus shows, especially Loki season 1, really fucked up a lot of stuff.
Well, that's what happens when you hire a Rick and Morty writer where nothing is serious. And like, wouldn't it be funny if the Infinity Stones were just paperweights in this universe? It's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? Is it funny? Because I didn't think it was funny when I saw it. I was like, that's dumb.
It was a bad idea. So, yeah, they're definitely, I think we'll get, it's either going to be Doctor Doom or Galactus. Which one would you prefer to be the Avengers number 5 movie?
I'd prefer they stop. I'd prefer they just stop making
What if you can't stop it and it's got to be one of those villains? Which one do you think would work better? Do you think Galactus should be after Secret Wars?
I think Galactus is a threat that you build to.
Yeah, it feels like a Thanos level. Like you might want to have appearances and Silver Surfer shows up a couple times.
Yeah, you got to build to that. That's a huge threat. He's going to consume the entire Earth. But the problem is too that like every one of these movies is always the entire Earth is under threat. That's one of the. I mean, I guess like the entire world was under threat even in Spider-Man: No Way Home because the multiverse was going to open up and all these spider villains were going to pour in. But it still just felt personal. It felt more personal, and I kind of miss that. I kind of miss the Netflix Daredevil show where it was just a guy against a crime lord that was running the city. Kingpin wasn't going to blow up the Earth. He wasn't making a celestial come out of the planet and then never be mentioned again. Even though just the sheer act of that thing rising out of the center of the Earth would have caused such, cataclysms that nothing would be the same.
Going back and watching the first Avengers movie, it's not quite as spectacular as I remember it. because they basically done the last scene fight in so many movies now, where it's just generic horde of whatever alien creature or set of robots getting destroyed by the Avengers for 30 minutes straight while stuff happens in the sky. Yeah. And they've done that in so many movies now. And obviously it's very passe and boring.
The blue sky beam that was so in vogue from 2012 up through 2016, 2020. It's pretty. You retroactively, it kind of takes the luster off of it. It's still, I think, a very solid film in that every Avenger kind of gets their due. They get their screen time. They get their moments.
But the ending doesn't feel as cool as it did, as I remember it being at the beginning.
Yeah, because it was fresh and new at the time, and now it's been done to death. Even the first Suicide Squad had a skybeam.
Yeah, and I'm feeling much better about Iron Man 2 now. I think that was a better movie than I remembered. And I thought Captain America First Avenger is better than I remembered. But Iron Man 3, absolutely terrible. Thor the Dark World, absolutely terrible. Avengers, not quite as great as I remembered it. So it's interesting going back and seeing how everything plays out and my new reactions to the movies. Yeah,
it even Infinity War, which I still really love. I haven't watched it recently, but I still have really fond memories of it. But even that, there's problems. There's just little things that
my big problem with Infinity War is them telling the story as if Thanos is the protagonist, and no one ever tells him you're crazy. You're evil. I mean,
Gamora does. Gamora tells
him. The only one person that tells him is Doctor Strange, and it's one line.
And Gamora.
Perhaps that happened in there,
and Nebula doesn't have nice things to say about him.
But for the most part, the way that he's portrayed, and he has to cry because he's going to lose his daughter, and that he's willing to give up everything to save everybody because of overpopulation, I did not think worked nearly as well as even him courting death in comic books. That made more sense because he's so crazy.
I would have rather him courted death.
And they had a good actress for it too.
Yeah, you could have tied her. Yeah, at that point, you could have brought her back and tied her into it, or you could even just had had Mistress Death as she appears in the comics. I would have preferred that because I'm always about the source material, and but I disagreed. I think that the Thanos as the protagonist worked because I think that it's the first time you had a developed villain in the Marvel universe, who had kind of time to and since he was presented as the protagonist in his own mind, which is how a lot of villains would of course think of themselves. It's how Mark Waid thinks of himself. He's the protagonist. He's the hero of his own story. And that's kind of how Thanos viewed himself. I think it worked. What didn't work for me about Infinity War is Vision saying hey, take the thing out of my head, destroy it. And Thanos has no, there's nothing he can do. And then Cap saying, we don't trade lives, Vision. Now let's go to Wakanda and trade a bunch of Wakandan lives.
Yes. You know what the weird thing? That was kind of messed up. The weird thing about the MCU is how badly the Wakandans are portrayed as the most egotistical assholes in the entire world. Every time they interact with anybody outside their culture, they treat them like absolute shit.
And the Dora Milaje just beat the shit out of everybody. So why do you even need Captain America and Iron Man and everybody? Just have the Dora Milaje take care of it. They're perfect in every way.
The first time Okoye interacts with Scarlet Witch, I was like, oh gosh, this is such bad characterization. It only gets worse. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then in Falcon and Winter Soldier, they're just awful. When they say it's you have no jurisdiction here. Our jurisdiction is wherever we find ourselves. Oh, okay, sure.
All right, Aaron.
That's how things work, right?
While we might be the comics aficionados, you are certainly the toy aficionado of the comics aficionados. You were already talking about your bona fides. You make your own molds. You make your own action figures if the toy companies aren't making them. And we are at the end of the year, and I thought we would go into your realm. We're in your world now, baby. We're going to talk about the great action figures of 2023 because this is your absolute passion.
This is going to be so skewed, though, because I'm so in the moment with G.I. Joe that it's going to be heavily G.I. Joe classified.
You can't go wrong with G.I. Joe, though.
No, and we're getting some great figures.
And you talked me into buying some G.I. Joe for my kids for Christmas.
I did.
And I got me one as well. So I got for the baby because he doesn't have a lot of small accessories because a lot of these classified characters have tons of accessories.
Yeah.
I got he's not a baby, he's a toddler now, but for my 2-year-old, I got him Sergeant Slaughter, personal favorite of mine anyway. If they had the refrigerator Perry, I might have gotten that though.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. For me, my favorite G.I. Joe character from when I was a kid is Tunnel Rat, so I got him. He looks absolutely magnificent. Lots of extras on him. And then for my 2 older boys, 4 and 8, for the 4-year-old, he's getting Storm Shadow. And there's a lot of cool stuff. He's got bows, he's got knives, he's got arrows, swords. He's got everything. And then for my oldest son, the firstborn, the namesake, the one that's going to carry on the family tradition, he's getting Snake Eyes, the greatest G.I. Joe character and toy ever created.
Very nice. Very nice. Which version of Snake Eyes did you get him? Do you know offhand? Does he have the grill in the front, or has he got the commando glasses? Like what like the first?
No, he's got the grill. It's the one that looks like he's from the comic books.
Okay. Well, I mean,
they're different variations. I got the one that was kind of like the normal one that didn't have the dog and stuff.
Oh, okay. I have to send you. I've got extra timbers from various customs that I've done where I bought those packs on sale. I'll have to send you a timber.
And I'm very excited to give these to the boys, and hopefully they will respond the way I did when I was their age to G.I. Joe, because G.I. Joe was awesome. I love Transformers. They were too expensive for me to be able to get a lot of Transformers. I loved He-Man, but I thought G.I. Joe was the best.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. The fact that you were in the military, that's another little link that'll be important for your kids. Are you going to show them the cartoon? You going to get them invested, or you think that's gonna get expensive? Because they're gonna be like, well, I obviously need General Hawk now. I obviously need Duke. I need.
They have their own cartoons that they're into right now. They're really into Diary of a Wimpy Kid. The youngest 2 have been watching Bluey. I don't know if 80s G.I. Joe is going to do it. I
think it would for your 8-year-old. It's still fun.
Maybe. Oh yeah, it's still a lot of fun. But they don't have it. It's not like digitally remastered. It looks like it's from the 80s, like it was recorded off a TV at the time when you get the downloads and stuff.
I've got a really good DVD set that where it's all high def.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole like you can get the whole series on Blu-ray.
Well, we don't do Blu-ray players in the Philippines.
No?
No.
Okay, well, I think you probably get like DVD versions.
Like too. You can't buy Blu-rays here, as far as I know. Maybe you probably can in Manila, but I don't live there. It's not like a normal thing. You guys
still on Laserdisc? No sandwiches, and you guys
you don't have any of that stuff. You just have streaming and downloading.
Wow, your movies are on on 8-tracks. Remember 8-tracks? You'd get into like your uncle's car, who was still like refused to upgrade to tapes. It's like, no,
we had an 8-track player in our garage. My brothers and I would listen to it.
Mm-hmm. Just grab that big cartridge of 3 Dog Night and just jam it into the
turn it over.
Yep. Good times.
All right, Aaron. No more stalling.
So,
what are your favorite action figures?
Favorite action figures this year? Of course, I'm obviously a big Mythic Legions fan, and probably my favorite figure that they've done this year. They did a second version of their Blood Knight. So they have a character who is it's basically like a suit of armor. Well, I don't have it like where I want to go grab stuff. Well, then we got to pause stuff, and I got to go grab some figures. Pause it? Yeah, pause it. I'll go grab some stuff. For Mythic Legions, probably my favorite figure that came out this year was the second version of their Blood Knight, which is Vorgus Vermilius. The story behind it is that it's a blood armor that absorbs the character that puts it on. It gives them great power, but it will also eventually take their lives. Cannot find that one. I cannot find it because I've been shuffling everything around in my quest to get all the Christmas stuff up. So could not find that one. But I do have another example of Mythic Legions that I will show you right here. So, good production value, right? So this year they came out with these Legion builder packs that were part of the video game that they're doing. And they had some orc builders, and I didn't have quite as many female orcs as I wanted. So this is actually customized with some of the pieces that I have. And this is what I really love about the Mythic Legion line, is it allows you to kind of swap parts around, even if you're not creating your own unique pieces like I do for a lot of things. And you get to do stuff like this. So, I made like this badass orc warrior out of the parts that they had, with just a little bit of paint that I added on the hair and to the face. So that's definitely one of my favorites this year. Then I actually really enjoyed the Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out, surprisingly, because it didn't look like I was going to.
My wife loved that movie.
Did she really? Yeah, my friend Marie did as well. Yeah, she absolutely loved it. And one of the things that Marie was most excited about when she saw the trailer was when they said that the chick turns into the owl bear, and they're like, she's an owl bear. Marie started clapping in the preview and was like, "I love owl bear." She'd never heard of an owl bear before, but she was in. So we have the Dungeons and Dragons owl bear figure.
Very nice.
So this is put out by Hasbro. This is one of my favorites. Just a big, beefy figure. It's got some other fists if you want it to stand upright and hold objects. But I've got it in kind of.
You could also have it attack Luke Skywalker when he's in his snow gear.
Yeah, you could make this something that lives on Hoth or some other ice planet that he's on. There's also a brown version of this, which I have not been able to find yet, and even online, it's been tough. So I'm hoping to find like the brown owl bear as well, so that I have both versions. But I love the creatures from Dungeons and Dragons. I was always pouring through the monster manuals when I was a kid. We've talked about the fact that I played the game in elementary school and haven't played it since, but I still buy the books, because I love the art and I just love all the different monsters and things like that. So to actually get a line that had some creatures in it was pretty great. I also got the Beholder, the Displacer Beasts, some of the other stuff they've done. But this is definitely a nice representation from the film. So speaking of Dungeons and Dragons,
remember, folks, he doesn't actually play Dungeons and Dragons anymore. He stopped when he was 8.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't play again. So if somebody has a good online group going, let me know. I'd like to try it. So there was a Dungeons and Dragons line back in the day when I was a kid, and I never really had a lot of figures from it. It was
based off the cartoon or based off the game?
Well, there was two. No, we actually never really got anything based off the cartoon. So you had it based off of the game. And then it was like the license was divided. So you had like some plastic figures that were kind of like, they were bendy. They had some wires in them. Were just like molded plastic that weren't posable. And then you had a line of actual action figures based on characters from the actual game itself. And one of those characters that was very famous that I always thought was just cool as hell is Warduke. And so this year, NECA put out this great Warduke figure. And so he's the evil fighter, and he's got a sword. He's got a knife that comes out of the scabbard over here.
Aaron, that knife looks like toxic masculinity. It feels like, it's too big.
Well, he may be overcompensating for something. I don't know. He does have a long loincloth, so maybe he's not. Maybe this loincloth is just long enough. But yeah, this is definitely a very toxic character. Does
the helmet come off?
It does not, because you never well, his little wing came off. No, it pops back in.
Oh, I was about to say, I feel terrible if you broke your toy over me.
It pops back in. I will fix that. But the helmet does not come off because we've never seen his face. I'm going to do a twofer on this one. This is the little hobgoblin, or the half-orc assassin from the I misspoke, not a hobgoblin, but I believe he's a half-orc assassin. It doesn't say anywhere on his new packaging that he's a half-orc, so that's probably not allowed by current D&D standards. You can't be a half anything anymore because that's offensive to somebody on Twitter that doesn't play the game. But this was the bad guy from the original line. They're just doing a whole line of these guys with updated sculpting, and so
it's all NECA?
I'm really psyched about it. All NECA.
Very nice.
So this goes with for me, this mixes in with the Hasbro stuff. So you got a nice little. Once again, we're getting 2 D&D lines from 2 different companies, just like back in the day. So kind of crazy. So let's see. Since we're on the NECA kick,
we getting some TMNT. We get some turtles.
No TMNT this time, but
okay.
Even though there's been some really good TMNT figures. So this is from Gargoyles. This is the Steel Clan robot. And so you need more than one of these so that Xanatos has his little army. And they also make a red armored version with Xanatos, and his head on it, and you can put the helmet on it and everything. But these are just the foot soldiers. So just the wingspan on these figures is incredible. It's also kind of annoying because if you want to put them on a shelf, look at how much room that would take.
Well, they also look pretty dangerous.
Yeah, he's got some pretty sharp claws here. Mm-hmm. So if you were a little kid reaching into the toy box, this could jab you pretty good. So recommended.
Very
for
nice. And Gargoyles is making a comeback.
Yeah, we've got a comic series out from Dynamite, and it's just written by Greg, who obviously created the show. These are some great figures, and I actually do pick these up for Greg as well. I am his supplier when it comes to Gargoyles.
You're
toys.
his Gargoyles action figure dealer, huh?
Yeah, I'm his hookup. And speaking of hookups,
well, he's got segues now. I like it.
Big Papa
Pump, huh?
Big Papa Pump is your hookup.
Scott Snyder.
Scott Snyder could never be the big bad booty daddy. Freakzilla himself. This is the first Scott Steiner.
Does he come with the chainmail like head thing?
He does. I didn't bring it out because that's actually like I bag up the accessories and I have them in a separate baggie unless I put them on display. And he comes with the sunglasses and the chainmail.
Does he come with his freaks?
He does not come with his freaks, but he does come with his peaks.
Do you do the famous TNA Scott Steiner like math fucking promo?
I can't remember that promo.
No one can.
Like it's so complicated. It's
see
like,
Smojo.
No, you go Smojo. Someone did this great soundboard of Scott Steiner where they were doing pranks where they were just calling like local gyms and being like, "You want to work out with me?" And they're like, who is this? And he's like, "Is Joe there? You tell that fat bastard I'm coming for him." And they're like, who is Joe, sir? And then they're like, what's your name? And Joe. Like, wait, you're Joe? It just degenerates into chaos. But this is the first Big Papa Pump figure that Mattel has been able to make because they got the license after he was already out of WWE. Mm-hmm. And it's only once they brought in Rick Steiner's son, Braun, that they kind of like got the Steiners under like a Legends contract. So we've gotten both Scott and Rick Steiner this year. And I have wanted both of those.
Well, you want the big bad booty daddy. You don't want the dog phrase Gremlin if you got a choice. And the cool thing about Scott Steiner is I saw like something happened, and it turns out he owns a Shoney's. Remember where Shoney's used to have the best breakfast bar? Yeah. When we would travel, I think we went to a Shoney's once. But yeah, he owned a Shoney's and he had a commercial where he like drives a plow through it and is like, "We're remodeling the Shoney's," something like that. Probably promoted the Shoney's building.
Yeah, so I was super excited that we finally got. I was actually going to customize him. I was about a month away from starting on it, and then I didn't even know he was coming. I just walked into a Walmart and there he was. So, Big Papa Pump. Like I said, this is going to be kind of like G.I. Joe heavy. One of my favorite G.I. Joe figures when I was a kid. This is one of the Cobra Troopers that I actually like army built because I had some allowance coming in from grandma at the time. So the Cobra Crimson Guard. Mm-hmm. So I built up I've got a few of these, and then they've been showing up at Ollie's. So, Doc said he would be on the lookout for me because he recently found one. So hopefully Doc can come through in the clutch and grab me some more Crimson Guards because I do like army building these guys. Speaking of army building, and I just dropped his backpack. The Alley Vipers were always one of my favorite Cobra Troopers as a kid. Traditionally, they're in like an orange and blue, which is kind of like, I guess they considered that urban camo, but it's really only urban camo if like
the orange and blue sticks out and it remains in my mind. I would prefer it to be orange and blue.
Yeah, I do have several orange and blue ones, but this one was based on the 25th anniversary version that they did, where they did him kind of like the red and gray. And so I got a few of these as well. So very pretty nice. They also did the Cobra Eels this year, which I didn't dig out, but those are also really good. I always loved the Cobra Frogmen. And, having played with Torpedo quite a bit, who came out waves before, it was finally nice to get some Cobra guys when you were a kid that could fight Torpedo underwater. Especially, if you show your kids the cartoon and you do that, the whole, remember the tube worms when they were trying to get the heavy water from the bottom of the ocean. That's good stuff. Need some Cobra Frogman.
What are the chances Aaron falls out of this chair before the video's over? I'm doing this right here. I'm hoping.
They are high. They are high. I don't like. I mean, I actually could. Hang on. Why did I just move this closer?
I have no idea. That's the beauty of it.
You threw me. You threw me because I was like, we're doing a regular show, and then you're like, no, the whole thing's on video. So I thought we were just going to be talking about
a special Christmas presentation.
Didn't actually have any. Didn't have actually have any like ready to go. So I just had to do this, and we paused for like 5 minutes, and I ran around like a wild man and grabbed some of my favorites. This is another twofer because I kind of consider them the same, but we've got Ripper from the Dreadnoks, finally getting some Dreadnoks in the classified line. And then we have Buzzer as well. I just dropped his chainsaw. He actually comes.
You're going with the Cobra twins.
No, they are. I think they were technically last year.
Oh.
So, and they have shown up at Ross for like $6. They came out in an assortment that was stuck on ships for a long time with the whole supply chain issue. And so once they kind of got released, there was like way too many of them like backed up. So they've been showing up at discount stores. So this is Buzzer, another one of the Dreadnoks. Right now he's wearing Big Papa Pump sunglasses.
Very nice.
I just wanted to try him out on him. He does come with the little circular ones that he would traditionally have. They don't stay on very well, which is a problem. And then he's got his chainsaw there. So that's pretty cool. It's not a gun like it was originally, but it's still pretty neat. And then finally, one of my figures that I just absolutely love from the Super Mario Brothers movie.
King Koopa?
This is just a big, beefy King Koopa. This is the sort of thing your kids would do.
If you put that around my 8-year-old, you would never get it back.
He'd lose his mind, right?
Absolutely.
I can't imagine what this would cost to ship to the Philippines, Wes. He's a beefy boy.
$50 minimum.
That's crazy.
Probably more than that. Might be $7.
Crazy. I actually got him for $10, which is insane because I think this is like a $30 figure. A guy came into to the show at Frankensons and was just like, what do you give me for this stuff? And so I took some stuff, and then he was like, I didn't take King Koopa at the time, and then he was like, come on, take Koopa too. And I'm like, and he was like $10, and I was like, well, I can't say no to that. So King Koopa.
Beautiful.
And then something I've shown off on the channel before, but it's one of my favorite figures that I got this year. Solomon Kane. This is a Mezco 112
Undertaker.
Basically. But the Mezco 112 stuff is really nice. Sometimes it's hit or miss. You get some stuff that's really good, and then you get some stuff that's just kind of like, eh. This is one of the ones I think they knocked out of the park. It's got just a layered outfit, all kinds of little cool details, and he just comes with a ton of like weapons and accessories that I think make him really cool. So if you love the Robert E. Howard kind of stuff, they're doing a lot of that stuff. They're doing Conan's, they're doing Solomon Kane. So a lot of good toys this year. But I think and one I just got this week, General Hawk.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, you gotta have General Hawk.
Now, this Hawk, I was a big fan of Hawk because I read the comic book, and Hawk was badass. He came out before Duke, for those of you who only watched the cartoon. He was the leader of the G.I. Joe team. And on the cartoon, they shifted to Duke. So when they brought out Hawk in the action figure line in this outfit, they colored his hair brown because they wanted to differentiate him from Duke, even though in the comic he was blonde. So I went and the figure actually comes with brown hair. So I went in and I repainted
him.
Yep, painted it to be blonde to match the Hawk from the comic book that I absolutely grew up loving. I did this to my original Hawk too as well when I was a kid. I got some paint and I made him blonde. Although back then
always been this nerdy,
bright yellow. Yeah. I've always demanded that things adhere to the source material, which is why we have such problems today with the things that we're given. So yeah, that's my list this year of figures.
Where's Chuckles?
I can't find him.
You lost Chuckles?
I didn't lose him. He's undercover somewhere.
Oh man, that's the coolest thing I could find for you.
And you know what? I really appreciated it because you actually found something that I didn't have yet, which is pretty hard. Friends tell me all the time, I was going to buy you this thing, and then I figured you have it. And I'm like, well, it's a good thing that you didn't because I did have it. but I did not have Chuckles yet. So I will dig Chuckles out, and I'll try to have him Saturday for the aficionados. He'll be my official mascot.
It's all good. Yeah, I'm glad you got that one. So I sent Aaron some equipment, and I sent him a Chuckles as well for like a Christmas present.
Yeah, so Wes sent me this HD camera, which is why everything is so much whiter, and you can see ridiculous things like I've got this stupid heater in my wall that I hate.
I thought that was an alien space sucker.
Well, there's a face hugger on it right now. Because I was just like, I thought it was kind of funny to put it there. And then there's some Mythic Legions up at the top that are all custom. Those will be coming down today, actually, because I dug out my Christmas gremlins. So my gremlin carolers should be up there later today. And
very nice.
Yeah, so no gremlins in the tree this year, but definitely. But Wes sent me this great camera, and then he sent me a new mic, and that's why we don't have me having to skip out on aficionados and reset and getting frustrated.
Absolutely, you need to clean that up. You're like the most popular guest.
I know, right? No, I can't be more popular than Doc, right?
You got to be more popular than Doc, right?
You think so?
It's got to be.
But Doc is right.
Doc's got like a cult, but cults aren't big.
The cult of Doc.
The cult of Doc. Obviously, this has been our special Christmas episode. We're recording it. It'll be up on the Patreon on the normal time on Wednesday. But this will be coming up on YouTube all day on Monday for Christmas. And I hope everyone is having a wonderful holiday. By this time that it comes up and it's live, in America where most of the audience is, our Christmas day will be over. The kids will have opened all their presents. We'll have our Christmas dinner. And they will have played with their toys and decided that they weren't cool. And I will feel guilty and be like, oh, man, I wasted so much money on stuff they don't even want. And we'll have a good time. I'm so excited for Christmas.
No, it's great. And you know what? I just thought of something. We were talking about Doc's cult. They need to get cuts like a motorcycle game that says like Doc's Disciples on the back.
We put a barcode on them and stuff so we can
they can just wander around cons and Mark Wade can scream that the alt-right is walking around. It'll be great. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Christmas. My favorite time of year. And right now in Southern California, it's actually raining. So it's really kind of like contributed to the whole kind of like Christmassy winter feeling, even though it's still like in the 60s, but it has been raining.
Very nice. And are you an eggnog guy? What are you doing for Christmas?
I think I might make some spiced rum this year.
I tried eggnog one time and I've never tried it again. I thought it was so horrible.
I loved it when I was a kid. And I think that a few years ago as an adult, I tried it and I was like, nope. But kind
of like SpaghettiOs. When you're a kid, SpaghettiOs are amazing. When you try it as an adult, you're like, why did I ever like this?
Because now you've expanded, like your range has expanded. You've actually tasted good food. So the SpaghettiOs don't cut it anymore. When I was a kid, I hated peas, and now I love peas. Peas are great.
I do not like peas, but I love asparagus.
Asparagus is really good. Yeah, I like Brussels sprouts. Vegetable. Depending, like they have to be roasted and prepared properly.
What's wrong with you, man?
I've like expanded my horizons.
Weird eater.
I've expanded my
horizons. Like the fruit loaf or whatever that thing is. Fruitcake?
No, I still don't like fruitcake. Didn't like it as a kid and don't like it now. Every year though at Halloween, I convince myself that I haven't given candy corn a proper chance, and then I try candy corn and I'm like, oh, I hate this. That's right.
I like candy corn, but if you try and eat you're like, well, this must be the chocolate part and this must be like the orange part and this is vanilla. All the pieces of candy corn taste the same. They taste like sugar.
Yeah, it's too sweet for me. Like, you have one candy corn and you're like, that was fine, and then you have a second one and you're like, that was too much.
I never understood the criticism of too sweet.
Really? No, just some things that just like you're
other than Pepsi, which I find too sweet.
If it makes my teeth hurt.
You got like those girly teeth. That's what it is.
Yeah,
you need to man up.
I love the iron stomach that you do. You were in the military, and I'm sure
they feed you pretty good. Other than when I was in Afghanistan, that was when the food was bad.
Did you have to eat a lot of MREs?
No, well, sometimes I would, because we were in a little fob that was away from Kandahar, and that's where we got all our supplies. So if it rained or whatever, they would have to go out and check all the roads again and sweep them for IEDs before they would send out the supply trucks. And we were on a smaller fob, so we were always gotten to last. So if there's like a big storm or whatever, we would end up eating MREs at the end. Yes, they ran out of food. MREs
No
are
wonder
not fun.
no wonder you have a cast iron stomach. Perch would say that's why you like Arby's.
Maybe that's why I like Arby's. But I liked Arby's before I went to Afghanistan. If there was an Arby's in Afghanistan, that would have been the number.
That would have been great, right?
Absolutely.
little taste of home.
I had to go home, during my time in Afghanistan. They made me leave the country for 30 days. And I mailed myself 3 cases of cup of noodle and a shitload of little cans of canned chicken or whatever. And I would make my own soup and stuff at the end because I couldn't take the food anymore. It was so bad.
I mean,
although
cool
it was a lot of salt,
Yeah, that's cool though that you could mail yourself something, and when you get back, it arrives, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, you get a mailing address. It's kind of like you were in the U.S. or whatever. So people could send you and stuff. When it arrived was a different question, but I sent that stuff as soon as I got home. So it'd be waiting for me, and I was glad too, because every once in a while, you just don't want Mexican Day anymore because it's so bad. But I'm glad those days are over.
Tell us about Mexican Day. Now I'm curious. What do you?
This is the way that they cooked food. They didn't really have they did have a flat top to cook food, but they didn't really cook it. It was they had these enormous bags of frozen pre-cooked food that they would just throw in these big things of boiling water, and they would here's your enchiladas. It's
no.
Here's refried beans.
There's a little tiny hole in the wall Mexican restaurant out here, and
it's called a taqueria.
I don't think they call
taqueria.
it
It's taqueria.
It's just called Tony's Mexican food, man.
In San Antonio, it'd be a taqueria.
Oh, okay, but man, this place. The ladies in the back making those enchiladas, consistent, always taste the same, always delicious. They're the enchiladas by which I compare every other enchilada. You go to another restaurant and you order the enchiladas, nobody else has ever compared. Even the fancy border? Restaurants, even close to the border, I've never
No, I mean on the border of the restaurant.
No, it's not on the border. No.
You don't on the border?
Oh, you mean the actual? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. On the border,
restaurant on the border. They've got great enchiladas.
Yes, but no, they don't. They don't touch these little ladies working in this little family-owned business, man.
When I was in San Antonio, on the way to work, if I took a little bit of an alternate route, they had this place that would make homemade tamales every morning. They had 3 kinds. It was chicken and jalapeno, and pork or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they were absolutely amazing. And I would bring stuff like that in, especially on a Christmas or whatever. And would be eating fresh tamales while everyone else was home with their families and stuff.
Oh, man, there's nothing quite as nice as the neighbors that bring you tamales at Christmas.
Man, that stuff was so good.
I made tamales once for Christmas and never again. It is so much work.
Very labor intensive.
Yeah, I have so much respect for the abuelitas that do it every year.
I remember being in the military. I was always single until I was the last a couple of years when I was in Texas, and by that time I wasn't working shift work very much or whatever. But I would sit there and I would always volunteer, and I would work Christmas and New Year's and stuff like that, just to give the guys that maybe they had families or whatever they had plans they wanted to do, so they could go and work. I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. It's nice having the holiday off, and getting to spend it with the kids. It's going to be a whole lot of fun.
It's been really nice, being a freelancer, which I probably won't be for too much longer. I think I've pretty much made the decision to go get a 9-to-5, at least part time.
You're selling out?
There's nothing to do in comics anymore.
I'm messing with you. You're not selling out, buddy.
Selling out. I'm going corporate.
He never hurt anybody.
Going corporate. I'm gonna be wearing a tie and saying things like synergy and paradigm shift.
Oh man, you're gonna have one of those mustaches and stuff. You're gonna be that.
Yeah, guy. I'll shave the beard and just have the little hipster mustache.
Wax it.
Yeah, get one of those blue shirts with the white collar. But being a freelancer, it's just nice because you can actually, if you hustle, you can take time off during the holidays, and really kind of enjoy them. I've had several years where I have not been able to enjoy the holidays because you were just working so hard. So this year's been nice.
Yes, I'm relaxing, and I've got lots of work done, and I'm going to be enjoying the holidays. I definitely hope all the viewers that join us today, if maybe you had some time and decided to spend Christmas with Aaron and I hope you enjoyed this. We had a nice little discussion. I went off track several times. We talked about some toys, geeked out about some stuff, and had a little bit of fun here.
Yeah, it's been a good time. I love it. Even though I wasn't prepared because I didn't realize we were doing the whole show on camera.
Probably should have told you that, huh?
Yeah.
Should I tell Doc that not this week, but our next recording is going to be up on New Year's Day?
Yeah, you should probably warn him. I mean, especially if he has to show anything off. Doc's not on
show
camera.
Anything off.
He's not on. Well, he shows off comics on Aficionados. He shows off his vast.
Yeah, well, Doc and I's podcast is the Q&A podcast. We just answer questions.
Oh, okay. Then he won't even be on camera. He's fine. It'll be
it'll be up on New Year's Day. That'll be fun. I'll open that one up to everybody.
That's cool. See, what a nice little gift you're giving people if they like us.
No, I liked it to offer one of the podcasts every month just to show people, in full, this is what we do. Here's a little sampling. So obviously Thanksgiving, I did the Jim, Hot or Not show with Jim where we talk about all the comic books. Christmas is going to be you because you're just an absolute delight. And then Doc, it's got to be the best cure for a hangover. Right?
Yeah, look, you're waking up, you've got a hangover, you're probably grumpy. You're gonna be cheering Doc on. You're gonna be like, yeah, Doc is right.
Absolutely. And then probably in February, my birthday's in February. Maybe I'll throw probably the Hot or Not show with Jim up on that one, and people can go check that one out for my birthday, and I can get a little bit of time off.
Apparently, the question of whether Jim is hot or not has been answered. Guy's Andre Agassi.
Fucking looks like Andre Agassi. You know what sucks, because everyone thinks about Andre Agassi when he's younger. He's the big rebel. He's got the Canon commercials. He's got that long flowing hair, and then he looked better bald. It's like, oh great, you're aging gracefully. Everybody wanted to see that.
Yeah, you son of a bitch.
It's not cool when you look better bald.
Pierce Brosnan, man. Pierce Brosnan,
hideous bald.
But he's like an old dude now, and he looks cooler than ever.
Yeah, apparently that's what happened to Jim. Not good. If
You know
only it was
what?
going to happen to MVP too, right?
Now I'm in favor of Jim taking a printer to the head.
Yeah, his wife had the right idea.
How dare he be so good looking?
It's not cool. He won't even show off the face because he knows it'll break the internet.
I know, right?
People won't be able to look away.
He's the handsome Squidward meme in flesh.
Exactly.
Like, oh. You can do a soft focus around him, play Dreamweaver. It'll be great.
Merry Christmas, Aaron. Merry Christmas to the viewers. Obviously, we'll be seeing Aaron on Saturday, but this will be coming out on the YouTube after that. But for the patrons, you'll see Aaron on Saturday on Comics Aficionados, and we'll have a nice, fun show.
Yeah, I can't wait. Should be good. Merry Christmas, everybody.